Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am tan. I am ready. I am rested. I am just itching to get into all the news of the day. I need to catch up on a few things because, there have been some things that happened since I took a couple of days off. And a lot of people have commented on it, but I haven't. So I got to play catch up on that. So just buckle up, everybody. We got a good show lined up for us. I want to start out with sort of an analysis of what the hell went wrong with the state legislature and the inability of the state legislature to get a school choice bill across the goal line. We now have a statement from the governor who says that his proposal is dead. He sees no pathway for the school choice bill. Hence, at reviving the plan during the next legislative session, they'll have to start from ground zero because it will be a new state legislature, a new assembly, and so they'll have to do that from ground zero. They can't just roll it over. So, what happened here? Well, first, the developments of the day. Governor Bill Lee has released a statement saying that there is no pathway for his universal school choice voucher bill this legislative session. I'm extremely disappointed for the families who have to wait yet another year for the freedom to choose the right education for their child, especially when there is broad agreement that now is the time to bring universal school choice to Tennessee. While we made tremendous progress, unfortunately, it's become clear that there is not a pathway for the bill during this legislative session. It's very simple. This is about Tennessee students having the opportunity to succeed, he said, regardless of their zip code or income level, and without question, empowering parents is the best way to make sure that that happens. If you're not aware, Lee's school choice bill, which was called the Education Freedom Scholarship Act, would have made 20,000 education savings accounts worth $7,000 available for Tennessee students in the 24-25 school year, prioritizing currently enrolled students, low-income, and public school students if the demand exceeds available funding. If passed this legislative session, it would have then gone on to, in the next year, make that available to all students. That was the plan. That's what the governor wanted. Now, let's just talk about what happened here. You had the House and the Senate coming up with two different measures. My understanding is that the Senate measure largely mirrored what the governor had asked for. The House version was more complex. There were add-ons. The one issue that seemed to that sort of bogged down and seemed to be unresolvable was the House insisted on additional testing. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it stood in the way of bringing these two bills together, reconciling them, and passing them, and sending it to the governor's desk where it would have been signed. And children would have had the opportunity to get out of bad schools. That's what's lost in all of this. What we're talking about here is, well, the governor says there's no pathway in the House and the Senate. They have some kind of disagreement. What we have forgotten here is about the children. Somewhere along the line, we lost sight of something that I think would be a really good thing for the kids in this state. That is the ability to get out of a bad school and do something better. Not all public schools are bad. There's some good ones. And the thing about this plan was, if you like your kid's public school, there was no obligation that you had to change the plan. Just stay where you are. It was optional. But if you opted in because you feel like your school was not getting it done, if you feel like that your kid was not getting the education that your kid needed, you had an option to go do something else. The money followed the child. And by the way, no money was going to be taken out of public school funding for this measure. This was above and beyond that. It's being done in other states. Other states have got their crap together. They can get it across the goal line. We can't. Understand, we had a Republican governor in the state of Tennessee. We have a Republican lieutenant governor. We have a Republican Speaker of the House. We have super Republican majorities in both the House and the Senate. And we have a situation where a bill was offered that had the support of 69% of the citizenry in the state of Tennessee, according to some polls. 69, 2/3. Hard to get people on anywhere to agree to 2/3 on anything. And yet, with all of that going in its favor, Somehow we failed. Republicans were fighting among themselves rather than thinking, number one, about the children. And number two, I think it becomes a perfect example of the old adage that you should never let the perfect be the enemy of the very good. The governor's plan was good, but yet it seems to me that some in the House could not bring themselves to just adopt that, move on. If you had other things, well, then bring them up separately. Consider them as possibilities for next year. Instead, this difference of agreement over what seems to me to be something that, should have been resolved could not get resolved. Why? Well, I think, number one, there were people who cared deeply about this and were very supportive of it. But I think there were a great number of people for whom it didn't really register in their world. People who don't have kids, people whose kids are already through the process. They looked at it and said, yeah, probably a good idea, but they didn't feel passionate about it. Parents, many of them felt very passionate about it. I'll tell you who didn't like it, the status quo. The status quo, the people who have in public education who looked at it and said, well, this is different. We don't like this. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, why don't we just leave everything alone and do it the way we've always done it? And people who were organized against the idea because they don't like the idea of public schools having competition. Competition is what makes America great. And I guarantee you, if there had been a school voucher program passed and went into effect, the public schools would have had two choices. Just accept that you're going to lose a lot of students or get better. One way or the other, what was lost here is an opportunity for children to do better, for parents to do better for their children. And I'm angry that we have all these Republicans. Basically, we're arguing among ourselves. The Democrats, they made a bunch of noise. They don't matter. Justin Jones, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. That sound and fury that signifies nothing because they don't have the votes to stop it. It got stopped because Republicans couldn't agree among themselves. That is absolutely, and I'm gonna have to. It is such. Why is this? Why is this happening? The governor had a good idea. I don't think this should have been an insurmountable problem in the state legislature. Here's from WKRN. I'm extremely disappointed. Governor Bill Lee says his school voucher plan is dead for the year. Last week, staffers behind the scenes told News 2 the bill was on life support after the House and Senate remained apart when it came to testing. Essentially, the Senate said they had no issue with how schools administered tests. However, the House wanted to see pullback from end-of-course exams and other tests to increase instruction time. In an interview with the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton told News 2 that the testing was a big part of the House bill. Well, that testing is a big part. It's just two different thoughts, so we'll see. Here's News Channel 5. Proposed school voucher bill dead after lawmakers unable to negotiate certain stipulations. And Governor Bill Lee's proposed school voucher bill is dead after lawmakers were unable to negotiate on certain stipulations. Last week, News Channel 5 caught lawmakers entering a closed-door meeting with Governor Lee about striking a deal on the voucher plan. They make it sound like it was something nefarious. It was not nefarious. That's the way it's done. You're the governor. You go into a meeting, you get all the people together that have a difference of opinion, and you try to find out if you can work your way through it. Supporters of the bill say giving family money to put toward private education was invaluable. I agree. Because this is the last year in the 113th General Assembly, lawmakers will have to file the bill as a brand new in 2025. Fox 17. The Tennessee school voucher bill is dead for the year, Governor Bill Lee confirms. Once lawmakers adjourn, the version bill will be permanently dead because, as we mentioned, a new assembly will be sworn in after elections in the fall. Yeah, it's about those elections in the fall. Maybe we need to have a little conversation about. If you find out that your state legislature was standing in the way of putting this across the goal line, if your Republican legislator was part of the problem here instead of part of the solution, I think you need to make a change. I think it's time to make a change. I'm infuriated by this because it seems to me that we more and more Republicans keep shooting themselves in the foot. How is it that we have such a supermajority of Republicans in the House and Senate, and that we can't come together on something that 69% of the Tennessee who were polled by it said they supported the idea of public education vouchers? That's right, vouchers for students to go to other schools. Where did we lose sight? What happened? I think there was a lot of noise and a lot of pushback from people in the status quo. The school boards around the state didn't like the idea, although it didn't impact them at all as far as I can tell. They just didn't like the idea. Well, it's new, it's different. Somehow we feel like we're not getting the job. We're not getting the job done in education in the state of Tennessee. Sure, there are good schools. Don't get me wrong. There are some. But there are a lot of schools who aren't making the cut. If you look at the testing, people say, Wilson, how do you know? I don't have any kids in school. I'll admit that to you. And my kid is about to graduate from college. But I'll tell you this. I've looked at the test scores, and they're reprehensible. We ought to be ashamed that a world-class state like Tennessee that has so much going for it is so horribly behind when it comes to educating our children. And that the test results show that kids simply aren't being taught what they need to be taught. We're behind in reading. We're behind in many places in math. We're behind in learning how to express yourself through writing. We can't do that to our kids. We have to give them another choice. I'm sad for the parents who are out there trying to do the right thing by their kids, but they happen to be living in a school district where the school is just not getting it done, and they don't have another option. They have no other option. This would have given them the option and would have forced the public schools to get better. None of this is going to happen now because Republicans were fighting with Republicans in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to be looking to find the names of people who were standing in the way. And I'm going to be bringing you those names. The people who, for one reason or another, were so unwilling to meet compromise, who had their idea of what a perfect bill was not there, and so they thought, well, even though the Senate bill is a pretty good bill, we can't even consider it. I am so disappointed in our state legislature right now. That they got distracted by the sound and fury that didn't mean anything, instead of looking at what would be in the best interest of the children. This is a sad day, in my estimation. And government, our Republican-led government has failed us. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. United Structural Systems, you know them for foundation repair and structural issues. They've been around since 1994 with more than 25,000 satisfied customers. But with all the rain we've had of late, you might want to think about waterproofing issues and look for these things around your house. Do you have standing water in your crawl space? Do you have wet basement walls? Musty odors coming from floor joist? Maybe you have floor joist with wood rot? Cracks in basement floors, hardwood floors that are cupping because of all the moisture underneath? See, these are signs that your house is telling you that you have waterproofing issues, and you should call United Structural Systems. They will come out to your house. They'll take an assessment of what's going on. They'll do their very best to give you their best advice. And then if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely satisfied. USS, they guarantee their best, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, online at ussTN.com, or call this number, 615-488-7855.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Pro-Palestinian protests at college campuses increasing around the United States. The future of school choice in Tennessee, and work now beginning on a high-speed rail line that could change the aspect of travel in U.S. cities around the nation. 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, there's Mac Morey with all your stories in the newsroom, bringing us the things we need to know on the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour. And there's Chris Weber. He's over in the control room with all the blinky buttons, making sure that things are going well. Did you boys behave yourself while I was gone?
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah, we tried our best.
You didn't even notice I was gone. What? Who?
Where you been?
What? I don't remember. His name vaguely sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm going to take umbrage with something you said in the open. You said something about being tanned. I beg to differ. I don't think you're tanned at all.
I'm red. I'm a little pink.
You know.
Yeah, that's fair. Pink.
And that photo you shared online, talking about the sun's out.
Yeah,
and you're sitting in the shade.
Well, okay, that's true. Now, listen, I have a real defense here, and that is that my daddy was a redhead. My daddy had the curse of Irish skin, which is pale and white and sunburns easily. And you know, I love being out in the outdoors, but I just, you know, basically I'm pasty white. That's all I can say. And I, you know, a little bit of sun can really hurt me. So Because Cabana wife cares about me, and because my doctors have been on me to, to be careful about that kind of thing. I try to avoid, getting a sunburn.
All
But
right.
it's a curse to have the skin of the Irish in many ways.
You just go from white to pink, to bright pink,
Yeah,
right?
and when I was a kid, I would go out, and we had I remember living in an apartment complex one time, had a pool out front. I was out there every day. I got brown as a bean. But now I don't know. I'm paying the price for all of that, I think, and that's the way, because I'm telling you, the sun can really hurt you, and so I have to be very careful about that now. But anyway, it was great to sort of not think for a couple of days. You know how that is.
Sure.
Every day your head's in the game, and you're thinking about the show, and you're planning for the show. And I love what I do. Don't get me wrong, but it was nice to just. Hey, could you go get me another one of those rum drinks? That would be great.
That would be mighty tasty.
Yeah, no. Instead of Cabana wife, being the Cabana wife, I was the Cabana boy, and I went back and forth and took good care of her. And she,
nicely done.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, it was a good couple of days just to relax and to veg out and to sort of catch your breath. I'm going to try to be here, of course, during all of the key moments through the rest of the year. I've been thinking ahead about that. So I need to be here for the conventions, and I need to be here, of course, as we get from the post-convention all the way down to election in November. And so when am I going to take vacation if there's so much of it that I feel like I really can't be gone? So decided to take a few days now. And the only other thing I got on my schedule is I think I'm going to take some time off. I think it's one day in October, so that I can attend my high school reunion, the 50th.
Ooh, wow.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And so I'm going to go back there and do that in October. But I'm going to be here most of the time. There's a couple of days here and there, but there's not much on my schedule except just being here until we get through the conventions and into the election. Going to take some time. I think we're going to take a week after July 4th, so it's sort of a slow time. So other than that, that's about it. So anyway, good to be back, and thank you to you guys for carrying on with Matt Murphy. I know, I'm sorry to do that to you. That's the way it goes. Sometimes
Lots of carrying on.
Yeah, our backs are tired. We've carried so much.
Oh man, I'm telling you, but I know you guys have been very busy, and I didn't listen at all. My apologies. I normally do sort of
That's
listen
good.
in.
Yeah, it's good to
There's
disconnect.
Disconnect.
The problem
yep.
is then, of course, you get back and you go, what's been going
What's
on?
happening?
What? Who said what about cannibals? What? I got to catch up on all this stuff. So I got in here early today so that I'd be up to speed on all that. Got a lot coming up. We're going to be talking about the 2024 election. We're talking about the Trump trials. And again, we'll revisit this whole thing about school choice dead for the year. Unbelievable that we couldn't get that across the goal line. A whole lot on tap here. Right now, it's time for the news at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 67 degrees now. Sunny day in Nashville. Just about a perfect spring day outside. Weather forecast, traffic report on the way, 5 minutes. The pro-Palestinian encampment-style protests, like the one at New York's Columbia University, have spread to at least 8 other colleges and universities. Dave Packer fills us in.
Classes going remote Monday as the temperatures rise at Columbia University's pro-Palestinian demonstrations. The university announcing plans to more than double campus public safety. Yale police issuing summonses to 47 students Monday morning as protests on that campus continue. Protest tents popping up at MIT and Tufts. Some 50 students demonstrating in front of NYU's business school. Additional protest activity at University of Michigan and UNC.
And here in Tennessee, school voucher legislation is going to die. Governor Lee issued a statement this morning saying there's no path forward this year, but indicates they will try again next year. And work now beginning on a high-speed rail line that could cut travel time in half compared to driving between two big U.S. regions. Alex Stone reports from Los Angeles.
Let's go build that railroad.
Hammering in ceremonial railroad stakes, political, union, and business leaders from both Nevada and California kicked off construction of what's designed to be the first true high-speed rail in the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
This train will move people at 186 miles an hour between Southern California and Las Vegas in just over 2 hours.
It'll run along a notoriously clogged highway between L.A. and Las Vegas, set to debut before the 2028 L.A. Olympics.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
You know, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path, and we're not going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. You know what they'll do? They'll just print money to pay the interest on the debt and to weaken the U.S. dollar. Maybe it's time to think about another investment. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you really don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. Now, that's the way I felt. But I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. Now, gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all of your questions about the precious metal market. Now, here's the way it works. You make an appointment for a one-on-one sit-down with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It is friendly. You will learn a lot. You will never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. And if you have some old coins laying around gathering dust, bring them along. You might be surprised just how much they're worth. I know in my case, I was. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at CaliforniaClosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It's 37 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock. This is Brian Wilson back in the chair after a couple of days off. Tan, rested and ready to bring you all the news and information I can squeeze into 4 hours. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go and have a 2024 update because we got a lot of catching up to do on numbers. I won't spend a lot of time on numbers, but much was made of the fact that a couple of the battleground states were tied in a Fox News battleground poll. But that was the two-way number. That's the number where you have, Biden versus Trump. And Trump, they were tied, and I think it was Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. But that's not really how it's going to probably look to most people when they get to the voting booth. It's going to be a five-way race. And when you look at the five-way races, Trump prevails in all of these states. Georgia, Trump leads by 7. Michigan, Trump leads by 2. Pennsylvania, Trump leads by 2. Wisconsin, Biden wins by 2. Now, there you go. Doing well in Wisconsin, but Michigan and Pennsylvania, in the five-way race, Trump prevails by 2. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that the general election numbers and these battleground numbers are getting tighter. That's to be expected. But I still feel good about where we are. General election numbers are all over the place. I've got like a whole bunch of them here. Emerson has Trump winning the general election by 4. Daily Cost has Trump winning by 1. Morning Consult has it a tie. NBC News says that if it's Trump versus Biden, Trump wins by 2. But in their particular poll, they say in a five-way race, Biden wins by 2. And then there is this poll, which seems to be out of sync with most others, but I'll mention it anyway. A Marist poll, which has always been very favorable to Democrats. Trump versus Biden, Biden wins by 2. In a five-way, they say Biden wins by 5. So, I don't know, a lot of volatility in those numbers. But again, general election numbers are not the real thing you need to look at because that registers popular vote, and you can win the popular vote and still not win the presidency because it's all about electoral college votes and what happens in those swing states. Blue states are going to go blue. Red states are going to go red. What about those swing states? And still, I think, looking favorable for Trump in the swing states. Now, other election news. I am happy to see this. Trump and the RNC will send 100,000 volunteers to watch polls in an election integrity project. The Republican National Committee and former President Donald Trump unveiled a large election integrity project last Friday that will send more than 100,000 people to watch the polls in swing states this November. The operation comes after Trump and his allies alleged the 2020 election was stolen through widespread voter fraud. The RNC has pledged to send 50,000 poll watchers to the ballot boxes in 2020, or had pledged in 2020 to send 50,000. They're doubling that number. Having the right people to count the ballots is just as important as turning out on Election Day. Republicans are now working together to protect the vote and ensure a big win on November 5th. Every ballot, every precinct, every processing center, every county, every battleground state, we will be there, says RNC Chairwoman Laura Trump in a release. The RNC is hiring hundreds of election integrity staff across the map, more than ever before, because of our party will be recruiting thousands of more observers to protect the vote in 2024. Attorneys will be placed at the processing centers and polling sites in battleground states and will work with secretaries of state's offices and county board of election. I'm glad to see that. House GOP chairman accuses key government agency of acting as a Biden campaign arm, of all things, the Small Business Administration. Top Republican on the House Small Business Committee is accusing the Biden administration of using a key government agency as its campaign arm in a critical swing state ahead of 2024. Earlier this month, my colleagues and I sent a letter to the SBA inquiring into their memorandum of understanding with the Michigan Department of State. It appears that the SBA is diverting its resources away from assisting Main Street so it can register Democrat voters. Chairman Roger Williams, Republican of Texas, told Fox News Digital. Federal agencies should not act as a campaign arm for their administrations, period. Americans have a right to know the extent of the SBA's involvement, and based on further investigation, it appears even more concerning. I look forward to hearing from Administrator Guzman as to why her agency is engaged in election efforts on the taxpayer dime. They're going to use every arm of government they can to try to sway this election in Joe Biden's direction. I won't get into a great deal of detail about this, but a nice, interesting story from the Financial Times that talks about Joe Biden's energy policies and how they are fueling Donald Trump's campaign in Pennsylvania. A pause on new liquefied natural gas projects has angered the shale gas industry in a critical election state. I love that story because it is, remember, an energy-producing state, Pennsylvania. We don't think about it often, but it really is. A lot of shale in Pennsylvania, and the Biden administration is anti-shale, which is basically to say they're anti-energy. One of the things I think we got to watch for is what happens with RFK. And this story from redstate.com talks about how national Democrats are throwing everything but the kitchen sink at RFK Jr. Nationwide, Democrats are starting to sweat. The source of their discomfiture is, of course, that scion of the United States' oldest political families, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and his independent run for the White House. Democrats are taking extraordinary steps to prevent Robert F. Kennedy from hindering their efforts to keep the White House in November. From rallying Kennedy's family around President Biden to dumping opposition research and holding press briefings about how he helps former President Trump, Democrats watching Kennedy qualify for more state ballots are pulling out all the stops to prevent him from hurting Biden in the fall. So they're after him because most of the time, and not all the polls show this, but most do. Most polls show that when you add RFK to the mix, it takes more votes away from Biden than he does Trump. And the Democrats believe that that's going to hurt them, then they're right to say about that. Finally, there was a thing that happened while I was gone. I just have to catch up on it. What's all this stuff about Uncle Bosie and the cannibals?
He became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. He got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea.
Uncle Bosie got eaten by cannibals? Were they fine young cannibals, I wonder? Or just old, stodgy cannibals? I don't know. Well, he's irritated the leader of Papua New Guinea, who says that he was offended by President Biden's comments suggesting that his uncle had been eaten by cannibals in the oceanic nation during World War II. The man's name is Prime Minister James Marape. He expressed disappointment in a statement Monday that Biden would suggest his nation was rife with cannibals, noting that Papua New Guinea was unwillingly pulled into the global conflict in the 1940s. Biden's comment suggesting that his uncle, who is Second Lieutenant Ambrose J. Finnegan Jr., was eaten in Papua New Guinea, came during a speech at Steelworkers Union in Pittsburgh last week. I don't know. Is there a man-eater? Was there man-eaters there? I don't know. You know, this is one of those things that catches people's attention. You know, they may not be able to get into the depth and the knowledge of all this policy and votes on the Hill. They don't follow that closely. They follow a story like this, where Biden says his uncle was eaten by cannibals. It's just another example of Biden and his gift for blarney. I mean, I don't know where this comes from, but he exaggerates on everything. Hardly a story that he tells about his family's past or something about, some story that he pulls out in these public appearances that, by the way, are not scripted. Almost every single time it turns out to be something that is not true. It was palpably proven to be untrue. I can't tell you the number of times he's told the story about, being on the train and how this one conductor who he knew told him that, he didn't care that he had flown 1 million miles on Air Force Two, that he'd been on that train at least 1 million miles. And then we come to find out that that's absolutely entirely impossible, because the information about his having traveled 1,000,000 miles on Air Force Two came several years after that particular conductor was dead. I don't know where he gets this stuff. And I don't know why he continues, even after being told that this stuff is not true. He'll still bring them out and say them again. I can't tell you. The train story has been completely debunked, and he still tells it to this day. And now we got this wild story. We never heard about Uncle Bozy being eaten by cannibals. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. But this is one of those things that just resonates with people. This is Saturday Night Live material right here. And I was sitting here thinking about all the different songs that could be done. Of course, Maneater came. We could do a reversion of Maneater. We could do, how about this one? How about We're So Sorry, Uncle Bozy?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. We're so sorry, Uncle Bozy. But we ate you because you fell from the sky. Now, I don't know. This keeps up with something. One way or the other, it just absolutely destroys any credibility that he had left, but affords he doesn't have much credibility. Let's call it 49 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. If you've been in this area for a while, you know this is a big deal. Genesis Diamond's spring store-wide sale is here this coming weekend. That's right, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the big one, with unbelievable store-wide savings up to 35% off. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, thousands of engagement ring settings, natural and lab-grown diamonds, special pricing across the board with zero interest financing as well. This is when the staff at Genesis know they can break all the rules. Plus, world-class designers will be here with all their collections of fashion jewelry from New York and California, the stuff you can't find anywhere else. It'll all be on sale. You're getting engaged or you have special events coming up, you can't afford to miss this incredible buying opportunity. And Genesis has opened the vault with the largest collection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes, all sizes, at prices you never thought possible. Don't miss the expanded selection and the extreme value pricing. People drive for hours to be a part of this particular sale. Again, Friday, Saturday, and yes, even open on Sunday, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs, both locations. See store for details.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Opening statements from the Donald Trump hush money trial, a teenager in custody after injuring a Marine Corps veteran. President Biden speaks on the 54th annual Earth Day, and the Tennessee Attorney General's office now considering closing down a reproductive health center. We'll give you all those stories and more 4 o'clock right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 56 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this Monday, April 22nd. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Coming up in the next hour, we'll talk about the Trump trials, and I want to know what you think about this. I mean, if there were a conviction, how would you feel about it? And if somebody asked me today, if there were a conviction, how in the world would he continue to run for election? And I'm going to try to answer some of those questions that I think are out there, given that this trial has reached its sort of beginning point with opening statements today in New York. Let's take a look at the markets today. Well, all screens are green today, breaking a 6-day losing run. Dow Jones Industrials up 253, S&P up 43, the NASDAQ is up 169. What's going on here? What's running the market up today? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon to you, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, investors are really glad to see a green day on the market. To your point, it was snapping a 6-day losing streak. A little bit of concern, and really the market and investors are still grappling with the fact that the Fed and several Fed officials last week turned a lot more hawkish on interest rates based on some inflation information. We got some good news today, though. Oil has declined a little bit more. A lot of that has to do with what's settling down in the Middle East. Not a lot of economic reports, but the rest of this week is really going to hinge on big tech earnings that start tomorrow, so that's going to be important to pay attention to. And then on Friday, the PCE index, which is a huge inflation report. The Fed's going to be watching that and the market really closely.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And find out about all the things that John Maxon and all the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. Let's call it 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock now on Super Talk. All right, it is spring season, and now is the time to start thinking about your outdoor lawn equipment. DT McCall's is helping you out with their Spring Cub Cadet Mower Sale. It is happening April 26th through May 4th at the Cookeville location. You should know that DT McCall & Sons is ranked as one of the top Cub Cadet dealers in the United States. You can find Cub Cadet riding mowers with decks as wide as 42, 50, 60, 72-inch decks for those who have large areas, as well as Cub Cadet walk-behind mowers for the smaller ones. I have a 60-inch zero-turn Cub Cadet mower, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. It makes mowing fun. I can't wait to mow on Saturday. I'm telling you, they're good zero-turn mowers. When you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll be getting access to their in-house service department. It's nearly impossible to find mower service like this anywhere else. So with a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, it's an easy choice. To find out more about this sale, again, it's happening April 26th through May 4th at the Cookeville location. Just go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
4 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 67 degrees and gorgeous blue skies all around the mid-state today. Sunny days ahead as well, but there could be a bit more of a breeze tomorrow. Traffic complete weather forecast coming up 5 minutes. The Donald Trump hush money trial resumed today with opening statements. Here's Daria Albinger.
Opening statements have ended and the prosecution witness, the first one, has been called in Donald Trump's hush money trial. ABC's John Santucci says former National Enquirer CEO David Pecker briefly took the stand just before court adjourned for the day.
He's going to come back to the stand tomorrow, but nevertheless, it just shows the speed to which Judge Merchan is moving these proceedings with the fact that openings are done. We're already on the first witness for prosecutors.
Pecker is a friend of the former president, but he's been called by the prosecution. Mr. Trump, meanwhile, speaking to reporters outside court today, says he plans to clear his name and fulfill his obligations.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning.
The court is in recess until tomorrow morning. It adjourned early today in part because one of the jurors had a dental emergency.
And here in Tennessee with a crime story, a teenager has been arrested after being accused of shooting a Marine Corps veteran earlier this month at a Food Lion on Bell Road. The 15-year-old was taken into custody this morning. He was found, and he was been charged now with shooting a 58-year-old man, then carjacking a woman. That Marine Corps survived the shooting. And today marks the 54th anniversary of Earth Day. President Biden focusing on solar energy with an event in Virginia and making an announcement about new climate-focused jobs. Here's Karen Travers with details.
President Biden touted his American Climate Corps program, opening up nearly 2,000 positions across 36 states today, part of the administration's push to train young Americans for green jobs.
You'll get paid to fight climate change, learning how to install those solar panels, fight wildfires, rebuild wetlands, weatherize homes, and so much more that's going to protect the environment and build a clean energy economy.
The administration says the first class of the American Climate Corps will deploy to communities this June.
And here in Tennessee right now, Fox 17 reports that the Tennessee Attorney General's office is now looking into closing the Center of Reproductive Health. They've suspended operations for the time being. Their website states that they'd left some patients with, quote, undue stress and anxiety. The clinic offered services including in vitro fertilization, egg freezing, and gender selection. The AG's office now asking any former patients or staffers for information. The Center of Reproductive Health says on their website that despite the recent closure, the clinic will continue to maintain the, quote, safety and integrity of patients' embryos, eggs, and sperm samples. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 6 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and this is The Drive, hour number 2 of our Monday, April 22nd show. We got a lot to cover here. There's just a lot going on. You can't afford to miss 1 hour of this program today, so buckle up, everybody. Here we go. Trump is on trial, yes, again, this week, and this is going to be an interesting trial to watch. It seems to me that the real reason that they are doing this trial is political, first of all, but that they want to humiliate Trump and demean him in the eyes of voters. And that's a lot of what's going to be happening today. So let me bring you up to speed on what's happening and what has happened thus far today. Opening statements for the first criminal case against former President Donald Trump started today. He faces in total now, across the board, 88 criminal charges from 4 indictments handed down. That's down because some have been struck down by previous rulings. The Manhattan District Attorney in this particular case has charged President Trump with 34 counts of falsifying business records, alleging that this was done in order to cover up bribery payments to kill negative news stories during the 2016 election cycle. The alleged cover-up bumps the misdemeanor charges to a low-class felony, which rarely does, but could technically result in some jail time. So, there's a lot at stake here. I don't think he'll go to jail, even if he were convicted, but we'll get into exactly more on that and what it would mean if it were to happen in just a moment or two. First of all, here's the president arriving for court today, and he has called this, as he's called others, nothing more than a witch hunt.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country.
His attorneys say that they feel like this is a very weak case that should never have been brought. Here is Trump attorney Will Scharf.
This is an indictment about business records fraud, purported business records fraud, and all the evidence is going to show that the business records in question, 1, were not made by President Trump, and 2, were not in any way, shape, or form fraudulent. Michael Cohen, as we've stated repeatedly in court pleadings, has been found liable for perjury and in front of a number of previous courts. This is a show trial. President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong, and we firmly believe that the evidence is going to bear that out in court in the coming weeks, and that any fair and impartial juror would see through the prosecution's smoke and mirrors strategy here to really get at the facts, which are completely and utterly exonerative of President Trump's conduct. Witnesses like Michael Cohen can go on TV, can record podcasts, can say anything they want. And meanwhile, we're subject to totally unconstitutional restrictions on what we're able to say. These are restrictions that violate core principles on prior restraint that are at the very heart of the First Amendment. This whole trial is proceeding in a highly irregular way. And I think that the fact that Michael Cohen can say what he wants to say and we can't really respond shows just how absurd this whole process has been.
How difficult do you think it will be for the Trump attorneys to discredit him based on his past? And how much can they say about Michael Cohen's?
I think Michael Cohen is going to have a full and vigorous cross-examination by our team that will get into many aspects of his history. And we believe that will ultimately be persuasive because the facts are totally on President Trump's side in this case.
That's Trump attorney Will Scharf appearing on Fox News today. Today they were opening statements. Now, just how important are opening statements? Interesting observation from Arthur Aidala, who's not an attorney in this particular case, but a well-known New York defense attorney. He says opening statements can set the tone and are very important.
Years ago, the New York Times did a study. 80% of jurors found that whatever they thought the verdict was going to be after the openings was their verdict, 80%. So I look at opening statements as a tremendous opportunity to really sway jurors over to your side. Look, there is paperwork that corroborates the people's evidence. And that's obviously hurtful for the president. But my understanding is it's not paperwork with Donald Trump's handwriting on it or his signature on it, except for a check. So the defense could merely be, hey, Michael Cohen did all of this. He never told his client. He just said, look, I need money for this, I need money for that. And, one of the witnesses who's going to testify at this trial testified for the feds, and he said that the money that was given to Michael Cohen was for Stormy Daniels and for legal fees. That's a reasonable doubt.
That's a reasonable doubt, he says. Mike, that's Arthur Idala, just giving his observations about how important the opening statements are and what some of the evidence may show and how he thinks that it might help Trump when the evidence is all laid out. So many people have asked me, and I know it's on your mind, what happens if Trump gets convicted ahead of November, either on this or some other charge? And there's a great story in thehill.com. I'm going to pull a lot of paragraphs from it and just read them because it's very instructive. It lets you know where we really are. Sort of cuts through all the clutter. The first ever criminal trial of a current or former U.S. president underway in Manhattan, renewing questions over what a potential conviction would mean for former President Trump as he campaigns for the White House. A conviction in the New York case where Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records would not bar him from the presidential race. It could roil his 2024 bid and open up the possibility that this year's GOP nominee is a convicted felon, however. If he happens to be convicted on 34 counts, that takes its toll on someone like Donald Trump, who seems to be a Teflon candidate, said Steven Stoltzberg, a George Washington University law professor and a mediator for the District of Columbia U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Well, okay, I would just argue that a conviction, I think, in many minds would actually help Trump. Every single time something bad has happened, whether a case has been brought and an allegation has been made, Trump's numbers tend to go up. A conviction would, I think, cause that to happen yet again because a lot of people feel like this is a witch hunt. This is not fair. Legally, the former president, who has already clinched the delegates he needs to get the Republican nomination, would still be able to run for federal office even if the jury decides to convict him in this hush money case. A Yahoo News YouGov poll found an increasing share of independent voters, however, think the hush money case involves, quote unquote, a serious crime. 51% of all voters in the poll said that Trump should not be allowed to serve again if convicted in that case, a figure that included 16% of Republicans. A poll released earlier this year from Bloomberg also found that 53% of voters in key swing states would refuse to vote for Trump if he were convicted of a crime, and that number ticked up to 55% if he were sentenced to prison. Now, how likely is that? Let me get to that, because I think that's really what it's all about. Prison time is a sentence possibility if the jury decides to convict, though experts suggest it would be an unlikely sentence for the judge to go for in this case. If it happens, worst case scenario, it still would not bar Trump from running in 2024, but it could hamper his efforts to get back to the White House. It's certainly true that being convicted or even being in prison doesn't prevent you from running for president or even from being elected, said Ilya Solman, a professor at George Mason University and an adjunct scholar. Assuming the office would be a difficult situation if the president were in prison. Largely, and this is where we get down to what really most people think, largely experts are predicting the hush money case wraps before Election Day, and some say it's not out of the question that another of Trump's criminal indictments moves forward toward a jury before November. However, is it technically possible he could, if convicted, could get jail time? Yes. Legal scholars and experts say it would be highly unusual for the judge to do that in this particular case. So he can still run. If he were to be imprisoned, and again, that doesn't seem to be likely, even with a conviction, because it would certainly go on appeal, and one way or the other, it would be incredibly unusual for the judge to pursue a jail time for what is considered a rather low-grade felony. But I don't think we're going to get there, because I think they're going to prove pretty clearly that Trump didn't do anything wrong in this particular case. Here's another, talking about polls. Just hours before the opening argument set to begin in the case featuring Stormy Daniels, Rasmussen reports shared a finding that 51% of those polled believe that Trump will get a fair trial. 51% do not believe Trump will get a fair trial. Among those, 31% said a fair trial is not at all likely. 42% see a fair trial as likely, according to Rasmussen. That tells you where Americans are on this thing. All right, what else? Oh yeah, there was another thing that I should share with you, which has to do with here it is. There was another case in New York that had to do with that whole bond of $175 million. The judge in that particular case, Arthur Engren, I believe is his name, wanted to know about whether or not that bond was a good bond. The president has said that there's no problem with the bond, and in fact, I think that got resolved today to the judge's satisfaction. Here's what the former president said about that.
And I put up $175 million in cash, but she says the bonding company's not good. She doesn't like the bonding company because she doesn't know if the collateral is good. And I put up $175 million in cash, and she's questioning the bonding company. Well, when you put up cash, and the number is 175, which is what we're supposed to be putting up, but I give it in cash, the bonding company would be good for it because I put up the money. But on Letitia James, the money was put up, it's 175 million, and I don't think she's complaining about me for the first time ever. She's complaining about the company, but why would she be doing that when I put up the money? And
as I understand, that matter got resolved to the judge's satisfaction today and is no longer apparently an issue. Now, set all that aside, because there is something happening in the highest court in the land that bears your attention on Thursday. Democrats' lawfare strategy against Donald Trump may be thwarted this week as the Supreme Court is poised to hear arguments on Trump's case on presidential immunity on Thursday, which could affect several of Trump's trials. The question before the justices is whether Trump can be tried on criminal charges that he conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The court's answer will determine not only whether Trump's trial in Washington, D.C., before U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, originally scheduled for March 4th but now on hold, can go forward, but also whether the former president's trials in Florida and Georgia can proceed. Not applicable in this case is the ongoing trial over Trump's non-disclosure agreement in New York City that we've been talking about. Trump, let's see, where's the bottom line? In this brief, the Supreme Court on its merits, Trump will tell the justices that allowing the charges against him to go forward would pose a moral threat to the presidency's independence. The president cannot function, Trump contends, and the presidency itself cannot retain its vital independence if the president faces criminal prosecution for official acts once he leaves office, because the threat of prosecution will hang over the president's decision-making process. Trump maintains that a president can never be prosecuted for his official acts. He points to a long history of an absence of prosecutions, notwithstanding what he characterizes as ample motive and opportunity. Everything from the appointments by John Quincy Adams of Henry Clay as Secretary of State after Clay delivered the 1824 election to him in the House, to President Joe Biden's mismanagement of the southern border. If the Supreme Court accepts Trump's argument, the left's entire effort to convict him hinges on the Bragg case in New York, the one we've been talking about, of an alleged misdemeanor outside the statute of limitations that typically results in a fine. They're putting it all on this Bragg case. It's one to watch. But a lot of these other cases could go away depending on how the high court rules after they hear arguments on Thursday. 21 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, the weather's getting warmer, and a lot of people start to grill this time of year. If you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of the same flavors right at home on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart's or Kroger's, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. You can also use his marinade to enhance other dishes, your favorite rice recipe, fresh vegetables, just about anything. And don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing, the South's favorite. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. If your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. And of course, it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Pro-Palestinian protests taking place on college campuses around the U.S., and we'll catch up on the latest money news from today. That's what's coming up, 4:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Time for a crazy Democrat update. We haven't done one of these in a while, but you know what? If we could easily do one every day because there's so many crazy things out there. We're going to turn next to probably our least favorite Democrat in the entire world. I'm speaking, of course, about Hillary Clinton. I mean, just the mere mention of her name makes people go and sort of repel in horror. Hillary Clinton. She is so bitter. I mean, she just cannot believe that Trump beat her. And she's been nothing but an embittered individual ever since. And this is what she said recently in an interview, which is just unbelievable that anybody would say this about Donald Trump, suggesting that he wants to kill people.
Hillary Clinton.
Putin does what he would like to do: kill his opposition, imprison his opposition, drive, journalists and others into exile, rule without any check or balance. That's what Trump really wants.
Unbelievable. Hillary Clinton saying that Trump wants to be just like Putin. He wants to kill people.
Putin does what he would like to do: kill his opposition.
Oh, come on. Really? I mean, even for Hillary Clinton, this is beyond the pale. And this is the kind of stuff that she puts out there, that he wants to kill people.
Imprison his opposition.
No, he doesn't.
Drive, journalists and others into exile.
When has he ever said anything that suggests that would be the case? Hillary Clinton is completely unhinged. And again, every time she raises her head, it becomes more and more clear just how embittered this individual truly is. Then here's another Democrat that, raised an eyebrow. Our own Steve Cohen from Tennessee's 9th Congressional District. He joined a number of congressional Democrats who seek to remove Secret Service protection afforded to former President Donald Trump if he's convicted and sentenced to prison. Cohen was named in a press release issued by Representative Benny Thompson, who led the House January 6th committee. Really wasn't a committee. It was a sham committee. It's called the Disgraced Former Protectees Act, which would amend Secret Service procedures by, quote, automatically terminating Secret Service protection. Hang on, turn the page. For those who have been sentenced to prison following conviction for a federal or state felony. Thompson says in a statement the bill is necessary so that American people can be assured that protective status does not translate into special treatment for former presidents. You know why former presidents have continued protection? It's because they are a national security concern. If a former president were to be kidnapped with all the information they have about our deepest secrets, it would be a horrible thing because they know it all. The other thing is it could be used as blackmail. Somebody gets kidnapped and ferreted away, and then the United States would have to pay or would have to deal with trying to get that individual back. That's why former presidents have a national security detail. But again, here's Steve Cohen. Doesn't care about any of all that. Just thinks that, well, it'd be fun to take it away from him. It would be vindictive is what it would be, and it would put the national security at risk. 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
"30 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 67 degrees in Music City and a gorgeous week ahead. Forecast traffic report 5 minutes away. On the first evening of Passover, concern over the safety of Jewish students at Columbia University as pro-Palestinian protests became more strident. Classes were held remotely today. Dave Packer has more from Manhattan.
Amid pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University, concern over Jewish students' safety on the first evening of Passover. New York Governor Kathy Hochul after a morning meeting with Columbia President Manoush Shafik.
Students are scared. They're afraid to walk on campus. They don't deserve that.
In a social media post, Hochul saying the recent harassment and rhetoric is vile and abhorrent. This after a statement from Shafik blaming amplified tensions on individuals who are not affiliated with Columbia who have come to campus to pursue their own agendas.
Now over to some money news. Daria Albinger helping us out with Wall Street.
Stocks rose following a 3-week losing streak. The Dow soared 254 points, the Nasdaq added 169, and the S&P closed up 43. A big drop for Tesla, which announced more price cuts over the weekend. Elon Musk's electric car maker is one of the 150 companies in the S&P which will report their earnings this week. Supermarket chains Kroger and Albertsons say they'll sell more of their stores in an effort to make their proposed merger a little more palatable to the government. The companies now now say they'll sell 579 Kroger and Albertsons to C&S Wholesale Grocers, a New Hampshire-based company, for $2.9 billion. When they announced the merger last fall, Kroger and Albertsons said they'd sell 413 stores to C&S in markets where the stores overlap. Look for going out of business sales at Express stores. The company has filed for bankruptcy and plans to close a majority of locations.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Let me tell you about King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood. Have been around for 25 years, and they are an independent agency, and that is good for you. Why? Well, an independent agency doesn't have to just give you whatever product they have. They, just take one off the shelf and try to plug it, take that square peg and put it in your round hole, make sure that works. No, that's not what they do over there. They can shop around and look at a bunch of different policies and find the one that actually better fits your needs, and that is why you get more bang for your insurance buck. And that's one of the things an independent agency can do that those big internet companies can't do at all. The other thing is customer service. If you ever had one of those questions and you try to get one of the internet insurance companies to get on the phone and talk to you, it can take hours, literally hours, to get a human being on the phone. If you call this number, 615-329-8121. That's King and Associates number, 615-329-8121. You don't reach a call center. You don't get one of those irritating recordings that says, please stand by. Your call is very important to us, when you know it's really not. No, what you'll get is a human being who will answer your questions and put you in contact with somebody who can solve your problems. They are the kings of the multi-policy discount. And they can save you big money with this, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review with King and Associates Insurance. Just log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance and Associates, royal treatment and great rates. It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this 22nd day of April. Bright, sunshiny day, still a little cool, only 67 degrees here in bucolic Watertown. And boy, actually, I was sort of in shock. I got into the car at the beach, and it was pretty nice down there on the beach. Temperatures, 70, 80 degrees. And I get home yesterday, and I open up the door. I said, "Woo, that's like 50 degrees. What happened? What happened to our spring?"
Yeah, you took all the warm weather with you, I guess.
Listen, it was nice down there, but it was a shock to come back into this cooler weather. Today, though, we're got abundant sunshine, but still sort of brisk out there.
The cool breeze definitely helps.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time outside over the weekend, and if you get it just right, it's nice and still out. Boy, it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Great moments. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend in your House of Representatives. The House passed bills to support military aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. I was in favor of Israel and Taiwan. I'm sort of the position that Ukraine, I just don't know that we continue to send more money after bad when we don't really know and have any accounting of how that money has been spent. But nonetheless, the will of the House was that each of these measures go forward. The Ukraine measure had more Democrat support than Republican support, but there was still a fair amount of Republican support. I think about 100 members of the House voted in favor of that. And then because there were some people who were very upset that this was pushed, and it didn't have any border protection provisions, and quite frankly, that irritates me as well. They are now, calling for the head of Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who allowed this to go forward. The person who is leading up that effort is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she was on Maria Bartiromo's show this weekend, exclusive interview, and she was trying to explain why she thinks it's time for Speaker Johnson to go.
I support our majority, and I support having the majority in 2025. But I'm a representative of the people, Maria, and I do not represent Washington, D.C., New York Times, any of these media companies and other Republican colleagues of mine that are criticizing me, even the Speaker himself. Most of those people have lost their way, and they aren't listening to the American people. The people are fed up. Last Monday was tax day, April 15th, and Washington betrayed the American people by sending $93 billion to support foreign wars while doing nothing, absolutely nothing to secure our border. That is a complete betrayal. And then once this bill was passed, the American people saw on their television screens and social media all over where Congress was waving the Ukrainian flag on the United States House of Representative floor. All of this was possible because of the betrayals of Mike Johnson. He has completely betrayed the Republican Party. He has completely betrayed Republican voters all over the country, and he is absolutely working for the Democrats, passing the Biden administration's agenda. So this is a speakership that is completely over with. It's only Mike Johnson is the one that's trying to hang on to it and is in complete denial.
Now, she has put forth a motion to vacate the chair and to get rid of the speaker, and that it has gotten some support. The number of people have joined her in that. But the question Maria had next was, well, okay, let's assume that, you vacate the chair and you have an MTV, a motion to vacate. There's some fun to have with that, I'm sure. I want my MTV, she'll say. I want my MTV, motion to vacate. But let's say that happens and the chair is vacated and we no longer have a Speaker of the House. What's the plan then, she asked.
Okay, Congresswoman, you wanted Mike Johnson out. What is your alternative plan?
Our plan is this, we have to give the American people a reason to trust us and fight for us. The American people are supporting President Trump to be the next president of the United States because they've seen him in action. He fought against the Democrat agenda. He put America first. They desperately want him to lead this country again because they trust him and they know he will do that. Mike Johnson has betrayed America. He's betrayed Republican voters. Under his leadership, he's passed the Democrat agenda, passed the Biden administration's policies, and fully funded them. We're going to fight in Congress to do everything we can to stop this type of uniparty leadership. Mike Johnson's speakership is over. He needs to do the right thing to resign and allow us to move forward in a controlled process.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do so, he will be vacated.
Well, with all due respect, you didn't give me a plan for the speaker's role. And again, does this mean you are going to file that motion at some point?
It's coming regardless of what Mike Johnson decides to do. And we have 3 more Republicans joining us from special elections coming up very soon. So people need to know this can happen.
She says it's going to happen. In the last waning seconds of the program, she says, yeah, no, I'm going to bring it. It's on its way. It's coming. So are we going to go through another speaker battle? Maybe not. And you're not going to like this either. The reason that Speaker Johnson may not be thrown out of his position is that it now appears that Democrats, progressive Democrats, will come to his rescue if there is an MTV, a motion to vacate.
You will protect Speaker Johnson's job if Marjorie Taylor Greene and the others go through with their threat to try to remove him.
Here's Congressman Ro Khanna.
I would, through the end of the term. Look, and I'm a progressive Democrat, and I think you would have a few progressive Democrats doing that, and I disagree with Speaker Johnson on many issues, and I've been very critical of him, but he did the right thing here, and he deserves to keep his job till the end of this term.
All right, so it sounds, but I mean, he'll never get reelected if he does that, if that happens, as Speaker, so he could be a one-term Speaker or a half-a-term Speaker. Look, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you this. I was in favor of getting money for Israel, and I am very much in favor of Taiwan. There's another measure in there that would force the divestiture of TikTok. It wouldn't ban it, but would force them to sell their American operation to another company, so that the information that's on your phone does not sit on a server in the communist China. I sort of like that, and I understand the complexities of that position, but I do believe that's the right thing to do. Ukraine was the controversial matter, and remember, Donald Trump has put his arm around the shoulder of Speaker Johnson and said, I'm okay with the Speaker. He says, I disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I have a lot of respect for her, trying to walk the tightrope there. So I think that if Trump continues to support Johnson, he might be able to stick around. But I'm not at all happy with the fact that all of this went through, and we're taking care of what's happening in Ukraine. We're taking care of what's happening in Israel. We're trying to take care of what could happen in Taiwan, but we're not doing a damn thing about the border. That's wrong. How this plays itself out is unclear, but Democrats say that apparently they will come to his rescue if there is a motion to vacate. Only in America could this happen. Other things that we need to pay attention to in the swamp is this. Biden's student loan debt forgiveness plan will add $750 billion to the national deficit. Now, remember, the Supreme Court has already said you can't do that. Biden doesn't care. He doesn't believe he does have to have the permission of Congress to do this. You know who believes that he should have to go to Congress? Nancy Pelosi believed that when she was Speaker. Now I'm not sure what she believes. I'm not even sure she's capable of believing anything at this point. But one way or the other, he's going to try to go forward with this, and if he's successful, it will add $750 billion to the national deficit. So far, the White House has announced $150 billion in so-called student loan forgiveness programs over the last year following the Supreme Court's June decision to reject unilateral loan cancellations. The previously rejected programs would have wiped out $430 billion in borrower debt. Since then, the Biden administration has ignored the court's ruling and enacted numerous similar but smaller programs to zero out federal student debt loan. This is an attempt, by the way, of course, to buy votes among young people. But you know what I found out when I dug into this? The vast majority of people who are in this new plan to get rid of student loan debt are people who make more than $300,000 a year. So you're not, these are people who are completely capable of paying back a loan. A loan is what it was. The Biden administration's new plan would cancel accumulated interest for student loan borrowers with balances higher than the amounts they initially borrowed. To cover these expenses, taxpayers would need to shell out $73 billion, according to some estimates. Borrowers who took out loans to participate in low financial value programs will see their account balances drop to zero. And you know what follows that? A nice little letter in the mail from Joe Biden saying, hey, I got rid of your student debt. How about that? I'm your president, and I got rid of your student debt. See, this is all political, all an attempt to try to shore up young voters who are leaving the Democrat Party in droves. But I'm telling you, I don't think he has the authority to do this. I think it will end up before the high court. The problem is, if it doesn't get done pretty quickly, I don't know that there's any way you can claw that money back. If the Supreme Court said you can't do that, the Supreme Court needs to rule on that before the money goes out, not after. It's a lot of money. It never should be repaid. It was a loan. Everybody knows what a loan is. If you're smart enough to get into college, then you're smart enough to understand the definition of a loan is that I give you money, you pay it back to me with interest over a period of time. That's the definition of a loan. You pay it back. There was never an expectation when you took out that loan that it would someday be forgiven. This is a gift. This is buying votes, and it's wrong, wrong, wrong. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. You know, Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How does that work? Well, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Smart care plans make it even more affordable. Listen to this. For $69 a month, here's what you get. 3 office visits and basic labs for the entire year. That's right. Grace Point identifies and treats the root cause of a condition, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same day, sometimes the next day, you're treated at your convenience. Isn't that something? Have you tried to get into a doctor on short notice? It's darn near impossible. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They are located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to set up your first appointment.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Pro-Palestinian protests around the nation continuing, mainly on college campuses. Protests here in Tennessee based on legislation that may or may not get passed. Teenage crime in Tennessee and the Predators' first playoff game didn't go as planned. Those stories, 5 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, there's Mac Morey with all our stories. Mac, I know you count on me to bring you all the important moon news.
Oh, yeah.
We pride ourselves here on having all the news about the moon that matters. Tomorrow night is April 23rd, 6:49. The full moon. We'll have the April full moon. This is known as the pink moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
Seems like
did
that'd
not
be
know
in
this.
February.
Nope, it happens. It happens in April. April's full moon, known as the pink moon, comes from a bloom of the ground phlox, a pink flower common in North America, according to the Old Farmer's Almanac. So apparently, it's named after phlox.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's
yeah.
kind of purple looking, but
Yeah, some
all
of it
right.
is, but apparently some of it's also pink. I don't know.
All right,
I don't
fair
know
enough.
a lot about phlox. I like it when I see it. When
Yeah,
I
it
see it,
looks
I say,
pretty.
"Well, I want me to get me some of that phlox."
Yeah, PHLOX, phlox.
That's right, pH, right. May will be the flower moon. June, the strawberry moon. July, the buck moon. August is called the sturgeon moon. September, of course, is the harvest moon. The October full moon is called the hunter's moon. The November full moon is called the beaver moon. And December is called the cold moon. We also are in the middle of a meteor shower at times.
Oh, wow.
The peak is the 22nd. You can catch a lot of meteors, coming through the atmosphere. And apparently that will continue until April 19th. Harder to see when the full moon is out, especially if the moon is pink.
It's just weird.
All right, there. Make sure. I just want everybody to know we are the place to come to for all the moon news.
Now I'm up to date.
All right, 58 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. If you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltz Co. are two guys you need to talk to. Exceptional quality craftsmanship and fair prices. They can build your pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That is the Stoltz Co. difference. You can use pole barns for all kinds of things. It can function as a classic tool and work barn, a garage, or even a place to live. Flexibility is the key. Now, they will combine the classic post-frame barn look with the reliability of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of time. Now, they don't scrimp on quality. They don't cut corners. They believe their customers deserve only the best. Now, I want you to go to their website, stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO.com, stoltzco.com. Take a look at some of the things they've done for other people, and then you're going to get it. You're going to understand. And then you're going to want to call them, 615-622-5992. Stoltz Co., where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 67 degrees on Music Row. A beautiful day, warm, sunny week ahead. Traffic complete weather forecast coming up in 5 minutes. On the first evening of Passover, concern over the safety of Jewish students at Columbia University as pro-Palestinian protests become more strident. Classes were held remotely today. Dave Packer gives us more from Manhattan.
Visiting the Columbia University campus Monday, New York Governor Kathy Hochul.
I've never seen a level of protest that is so person to person. It is so visceral.
Hochul calling for dialogue.
People need to find their humanity. Have the conversations, talk to each other, understand different points of view, because that's what college students should be doing.
The governor meeting with the university president, who, calling for a reset, announced all classes would be remote on Monday.
Back here in the Volunteer State, more parents and students came to the Tennessee State Capitol today to protest the bill that may pass in the final week of the session. It would arm some teachers with firearms on schools' campuses. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik.
The bill is still being held on the desk in the House, and today Covenant moms and students came to the Capitol as a last-ditch effort to make sure it stays there. The bill would allow school staff members to carry a concealed handgun if they meet certain steps. First, they must get a permit. They must also do 40 additional hours of state training, complete a background check, and get a psychological evaluation. Lastly, they would have to get the approval of the principal, director of schools, and law enforcement. House sponsor of the bill, Representative Ryan Williams, said last week he plans to take the bill off the desk before lawmakers adjourn. Covenant school mom Sarah Shoup Newman delivered this stack of papers to him today before the House floor session. In it is over 5,000 signatures of school staff and parents against the legislation.
And that mother, Sarah, said that she met with Representative Williams and said that she hopes he's still open to adjusting some things. Here in Tennessee with a crime story, News 2 reports that 4 teenagers were arrested over the weekend after they were seen robbing 2 men at gunpoint and leaving in a stolen vehicle. After a car chase with a helicopter crew and some officials on the ground, all 4 were captured in that stolen car. 3 of them 18 years old and other 15 years old. Officials found firearms, marijuana, and cash in the car. Detectives believe the teens may also be involved in other robberies and are continuing to investigate. And Tennessee sports, the Nashville Predators lost game 1 of their hopeful playoff run in Vancouver last night. It was against the Canucks by a score of 4-2. Nashville was in the lead 2-1 in the third period. Then the Canucks broke a franchise playoff record by scoring 2 goals in just 13 seconds. Vancouver would add an empty netter with time winding down to seal it 4-2. Nashville will have a chance to even up the series tomorrow. Game 2 at Rogers Arena, 9 p.m. Middle Tennessee time. Will further analyze the series on Mac Maury's Wide Wild World of Sports 525. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, here it is, hour number 3 of the drive already. We're getting after it here, trying to get you some news and information, catch up on things. I was gone on Thursday and Friday, and my special thanks to Matt Murphy for filling in and carrying on so ably in my absence. Cabana wife and I took a couple of days at the beach. We're feeling rested and ready, and I am buckled down today to catch up on some things. The big news, I think, locally, is that we have gotten word from Governor Bill Lee that he says there is no pathway forward to get his school choice bill approved in this current session of the state legislature, and suggests that perhaps we'll have to start over again next year with a new state legislature. There'll be an election, so he'll have to start over from ground zero, but he's very disappointed. I am extremely disappointed for the families who have to wait yet another year for the freedom to choose the right education for their child, especially when there is broad agreement that now is the time to bring universal school choice to Tennessee. Now, while we made tremendous progress, unfortunately, it has become clear there is not a pathway for the bill during this legislative session. I want to thank the thousands of parents and students who made their voices heard. I've never been more motivated to provide them with the ability to choose what's best for their family. I also want to thank the speakers and leaders of both chambers for their commitment to pursuing education freedom next year. It's very simple, the governor says. This is about every Tennessee student having the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their zip code or income level, and without question, empowering parents is the best way to make sure that happens. His school choice bill, which he called the Education Freedom Scholarship Act, would have made 20,000 education saving accounts worth $7,000 available for Tennessee students in the 24-25 school year. And then after that, the plan was to make it available to any student in the state. By the way, without taking any money away from public schools at all. This was above and beyond that. In fact, more money was set aside for public schools. So anybody who says this was something that would destroy public schools does not understand the measure at all. This announcement came as the state lawmakers, according to the Tennessee Star, expressed skepticism of the bill's odds of passing quickly through the legislature. Prior to announcing the plan in November, a poll conducted by the Beacon Center of Tennessee showed that 69% of polled respondents approved at the time of the state's expansion of educational savings accounts statewide. In January, another poll conducted by the Nashville-based think tank showed that a total of 68% of respondents at the time supported the governor plan, and only 19% opposed the plan. So tell me, this is the thing I'm having a little hard time understanding. I'd like to know why it is that we have a Republican governor, we have a Republican Speaker of the House, we have a Republican Speaker of the Senate, the Lieutenant Governor, we have supermajorities of Republicans in both bodies, and we had a measure that had the support of more than 2/3 of the people who live in the state of Tennessee. It was popular, and we had all the votes we needed to get this across the goal line. And yet somehow, they couldn't get it across the goal line. So what happened? Well, over in the Senate, they put forth what is largely the governor's vision for that bill. So the governor's bill pretty much made its way through the Senate. In the House of Representatives, they added a lot of stuff in there that the Senate could not agree to. And so the measure was apparently irreconcilable. They couldn't come to terms. Republicans could not enter the room and find a way to get this across the goal line. I mean, Channel 5 made a big thing. Well, we caught the governor getting into a secret closed-door meeting. You know, that's exactly what he should have been doing. He should have been up there, and he should have been in a room with the Speaker of the House and the Lieutenant Governor and see if there's any way that they could close the gap, they could come to terms on something that could get this across the goal line. And apparently, at the end of the day, these three Republicans could not find a way to reconcile the bill and to move forward. So much progress, so close, but we got about that close to the goal line, and apparently a case of the perfect being the enemy of the very good. Somebody said, well, that's not it. If I can't have that, then I won't go along with this idea. And apparently the issue was about testing. It had something to do with testing. Well, this is testing my patience, is what it is. Look, how is it that Republicans control government in this area, and you have an overwhelmingly popular measure, according to all the polls, and you can't find a way to get it across the goal line? I'm going to be looking to find out where the blockade came from. Who was responsible for making sure that this thing did not go through? Because that's dumb. That's really, really, really dumb to get that close and not be able to get it across the goal line. Now, look, there was a very vocal minority. Didn't matter. All of the people in protesting in the didn't matter. They represented the 19% of Tennesseans who did not like the measure, not the 69% who did. 68, 69%, more than 2/3. You know who they were, and all of that was a sideshow. You had a lot of school districts and their school boards who came out against the measure, and I can't for the life of me understand why. It didn't impact them at all. They're still going to get more money for their public schools. But we couldn't do it. Republicans were arguing with themselves. And I don't understand why it is that, in a situation like this is like, watching what happens in Washington, where we have had at times Republican presidents and Republican leaders of the House and Senate, and yet nothing gets accomplished because we fight among ourselves. I don't understand this. And you know what happened here is it seems that everybody forgot about the most important part of this whole discussion. It was all about, well, we got to hang up on testing. You know what really should have been the only thing that mattered is trying to help students who are in schools that are not getting the job done as far as education is concerned. That should have been the only thing, the absolute only thing that we talk about here. What's in the best interest of the child? Not the school board. School boards just don't like change. School boards, I think in many, many places, well, look very closely at your school board and find out who's on it. I think what you're going to find is that there's a lot of Democrats who've made their way onto school boards around the state of Tennessee, even though, they're not in, we're a very Republican state. They just don't like change. Oh, it's different. Oh, it upsets the status quo. Oh, we've always done it this way. How could we possibly change now? Oh, I don't like change. Change is bad. Oh, it's scary. No. We lost sight of the most important thing here, and it was what's in the best interest of the child. And we could have easily gotten this worked out. Look, I sort of subscribe to the old Ronald Reagan. Anybody tell me that Ronald Reagan is not a conservative? Of course he was a conservative. You knew exactly where you stood with Ronald Reagan. Here's what he wanted. But you know what Ronald Reagan would do? He would, if he got 70% of what he wanted, he would take it. This is stupid to have Republicans fighting among themselves and unable to get this across the goal line when children were education and their futures were at stake. We came this close and we screwed it up. So I pox on all your houses is the way I feel about this. I'm angry about it because we really let the kids down. We let the parents down. I mean, maybe, you're in a place where you say, well, I like my kids' public school. Fine. That's great. Just keep them right where they are. Everything is hunky-dory. No problemo. You just go right ahead. You are not affected by this at all. And I think part of the reason was, well, you have people who might be, in theory, in favor of it, But it's not that important to them because, well, they don't have kids in school anymore. Maybe they never had kids in school. They're older and they just say, well, okay, and I like that idea, but they don't get involved in it like the people who opposed it did. They got angry. They made noise, and it was all a distraction. You need to understand one thing, and I think our speaker and I think our lieutenant governor should remember this, that all of the noise that you hear is just that, noise. It doesn't matter at the end of the day what Justin Jones thinks. It doesn't matter, when you have a few people up there holding placards and making noise in the gallery. It doesn't matter because they don't represent the people of this state if the polling is correct. Not even close. Yet, I don't know. It just baffles me. It's beyond understanding how we could get this far down the path, just that close to passing it, and then somebody says, nope, not going to do it. Well, if I can figure out, and I'm going to be trying to figure out, who it was that stood in the way here, I'm going to name names. And if you have a state legislator who is standing in the way of accomplishing what could have been a great thing for this state and great thing for the children of this state, and would have given children who have no way to get out of a bad school an opportunity to do something better for themselves, and you find out that your state legislature was part of the problem, take them out. Do not send them back to the state legislature. How in the world are we ever going to accomplish anything if Republicans squabble with themselves? It's happening on the state level. It's happening on the national level. We can't get our act together. We need to figure out, how we can solve this problem, whatever it is. But to let the perfect become the enemy of the very good is not a great strategy. If you can get 70% of it, take the deal, move on to fight another day. Some of the things that apparently were standing in the way here could have been resolved by making them a separate piece of legislation, taking a vote on that. There's a lot of ways it could have been resolved, but there wasn't a will to get it across the goal line. And if there was a will, it wasn't strong enough to overcome the silliness that we have going on in the state of Tennessee among Republicans. This is this is really nobody's fault but our own. You can say, well, the Democrats were against, they're making noise, they're doing this, that. Didn't matter. Sound and fury, which signifies absolutely nothing. This is a Republican problem, and Republicans couldn't get their crap together in order to get this across the goal line, and the children will suffer because of it, because now we have a lot of kids who are going to schools that simply aren't getting the job done, and they're stuck there because of your incalcitrance and your inability to get this across the goal line and solve these issues. We count on you to be adults. Start acting like adults. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. All right, how you doing with your air conditioning? We've had a chance to check it out. You may still be working both sides of your system. I know I have been. It gets warm and you want a little air conditioning. It gets a little cool at night. You need some heating. And if one side of your HVAC is not working, do what I would do. Call this number, 775-7833. That's the number to Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They will come to your house. They will absolutely get you up and running, fix your problems. And then I want you to think about this. The way to keep your system running without any kind of issues is to do preventative maintenance on your system on a regular basis. And that's what being a member of the Beehive Club is all about. Starts for as little as $99. You get 3 thorough maintenance services, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. No overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. So for satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. Learn more online at busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
An 18-year-old killed at a college in Delaware. An investigation now underway. A woman claiming she was assaulted in an elevator here in Nashville, and a potentially revolutionary progression in city transit in the United States. Those stories, 5:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
That's right. It's time for Mac Morey's wide, wild, weird, wacky world of sports. And now, without further ado, here's the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mac Morey, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
We've got our famous introer back.
Did we not have it?
Oh, well, no. You.
Oh. All right, so I'm hearing, because I honestly did not follow anything while I was at the beach. All I followed was, how far is it over to the bar? Because I need another rum drink. So I mean, that's what I was focused on for a couple of days. How did the Predators do?
So yeah, last night was the game. It was a 9:00 puck drop. So I had to do some early morning stuff at one of our sister stations. So I ended up falling asleep. We were up 2-1, and I'm going, okay, please, Preds, come on, please. First game. This is one of the best teams in the NHL, and the Vancouver Canucks. Game 1 at Vancouver. If you steal that game, it's great now because huge. You fine. You lose game 2, but you go back to Bridgestone. You come back here to Music City, tied 1-1. Right. It felt like they had it right in their grasp. Headed into the third period, up 2-1, and the Canucks, man, a franchise record-breaking 2 goals in 13 seconds.
So you're telling me the Predators lost, right?
Telling me the Predators lost.
But how is that possible? Because I know we did everything that we were supposed to do in order to have the Predators win this. I mean, after all, you played the Catfish song on Friday, right?
Crickets.
What?
I'm blaming Matt and
What?
Mac. Oh, actually, let's just blame Mac. Yeah, I'm throwing you under the bus. You weren't here on Friday, Mac. So
excuse me. I leave you with one instruction. I leave you with one little thing that I ask you to do in my absence.
Yeah.
Play the Catfish song before we go into the weekend games.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you dropped,
just totally,
well, in this case, the puck.
We did drop the puck.
Drop the puck.
You dropped the ball, not the ball, but the puck.
No, this L can hold on me. That's fair. I'll take
All
full
right.
responsibility for
We
this
did
loss.
it. Yeah.
We won't make the mistake again. The next game is Wednesday. So we'll be right here.
Oh, Wednesday, okay.
5:25. For
Wednesday,
I believe it is Wednesday.
Before the game. It's an evening game, right?
Let me just double check that. No, I'm so sorry.
I thought it was Tuesday.
It is tomorrow. It is tomorrow at 9
Okay, so
9 p.m.
tomorrow on this program.
Yes, right here.
Without
sure we
fail.
got it right? Yes.
Let's not mess this up again.
I promise.
Well, I mean, it would have been we got all the way through. Oh, we missed the date of the game?
Another game.
Oh, my goodness. You guys.
They go down 0-2, and then
I'm sorry.
crap.
So we got to play the Catfish song
We do.
tomorrow in this program. Without fail.
Yep.
Excuse me. The last 2 words. Without fail.
Emphasize those.
It's ready.
All right, go ahead.
Put the red flag next to it.
So this
Please
now,
continue on now that my scolding is finished.
I believe it's. I don't have the exact number in front of me. The Preds are winless. I can't remember exactly what it is. It might be 0-8, might be 0-7. The Preds are winless in series, in 7-game series that they lose the first game of.
Ooh.
They need to break that streak. And that's for 7-game series. You could extend that to 0-9 or add 0-8 or what number it is if you extended that to 5-game series too, because they lost the 5-game series that they were in when they lost the first game. So they are winless in 7-game series when they lose this first game. They need to end that streak, and it would be a really good start if they were able to get a win tomorrow night. Stealing one is imperative at Vancouver because you've only got...
You know what else is imperative? Playing the Catfish song tomorrow.
Hey, well, you're going to be here, so we're going to get it done. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. If you guys didn't catch the first game, Brian, if you're able to catch some of the one tomorrow, expect physicality. These are 2 teams in the top 5 in the regular season as far as hits are concerned. So going to be very physical, going to see a lot of pads crashing, could see a fight. So I know that's the only reason I'll get my fiance to sit in front of the TV, just to fight. That's all she wants. So.
She wants the fights.
She wants the fights. Whenever we go to a game, I'm like, all right, babe, look, they're fighting. Now it's time to watch now.
You don't see a whole lot of that in playoff hockey, though.
No, they don't let that happen as much. Yeah. And the players don't want it to happen as much.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll come back tomorrow with the Catfish song and an update on some NBA stuff as well.
We've got to will them across the finish line here. All right, it is now 30 minutes past the hour. Time to take off the sports hat, put on the news hat, because it's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7.
.5:30, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 67 degrees in Music City. The latest traffic report and a weather forecast in 5 minutes. The FBI and ATF are assisting police in Dover, Delaware, as they search for the shooter who killed an 18-year-old Kamei Mitchell da Silva of Wilmington on the campus of Delaware State University earlier yesterday morning. Ike Ajaji reports.
According to investigators, Da Silva was not a registered student at the universities. Officials say that Da Silva and another non-student were visiting a student on campus at the time of the shooting. Now, we're being told no other injuries were reported. However, university leaders did say that the suspect was seen fleeing away from the campus.
Here in Tennessee with a crime story, 26-year-old Jamian Taylor facing charges after allegedly making unwanted sexual advances to a woman in an elevator. Had happened on April 4th near Public Square Park when the woman told officials that Taylor, quote, moved within inches of her and began telling her he was going to kiss her. She pushed him away and left as soon as the door opened. Taylor was spotted on surveillance footage and even seen following a different woman as well. And work now beginning on a high-speed rail line that could cut travel time in half compared to driving between two big U.S. regions. Alex Stone reporting from L.A.
Let's go build that railroad.
Hammering in ceremonial railroad stakes, political, union, and business leaders from both Nevada and California kicked off construction of what's designed to be the first true high-speed rail in the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
This train will move people at 186 miles an hour between Southern California and Las Vegas in just over 2 hours.
It'll run along a notoriously clogged highway between L.A. and Las Vegas, set to debut before the 2028 L.A. Olympics.
And that is the latest news, weather, and traffic next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that can like magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves if you're having back pain. You have really two choices. Now, you can go the surgery route, or you could choose the non-invasive spinal decompression route. And I'm telling you, I chose the non-surgical spinal decompression route at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it helped me so much. They're state-of-the-art facilities. They have high-tech equipment that offer the latest non-surgical procedures. And getting better is so important, so Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatment and KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for your knee. It elongates the knee gently and allows the healing treatment to get deeper into the knee. It's had people say it's had real success. It's really helping them. So listen, for $23, if you're a new patient, you get an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment. Really, honestly. You owe it to yourself to go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville and have Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Ashley give you the once-over before you think about doing the surgical option. I'm Brian Wilson, and I approve of the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at their website, painisbad.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It's 37 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. And look, I want to open up the phone lines at 615-737-9986. First of all, we've had two things that happened in the last few days that suggest that Republicans are their own worst enemy. We had, number one, the word came out today that even though we have Republican supermajorities in the House and the Senate here in Tennessee and a Republican governor, we couldn't get a bill passed that would have helped children find better education if they're in failing schools. On the national level, we saw over the weekend that Republicans are squabbling among themselves. And we may well have to go through another one of these speakership battles. And I want to know what in the world is wrong with Republicans? Where do you think the problem lies? Why is it that Republicans are always divided and it seems that the Democrats are not? What is it that we do and how does this happen? How can we fix this problem? 615-737-9986. Maybe you agree that we're headed down the wrong path. What is the right path? And why is it that we can't get on the right path and stick together on something to get things accomplished when we have everything we need to do it? The problem with this education package in the state of Tennessee was not the opposition, because the opposition was Democratic and was a small part of the populace, only about 19%, if polls are correct. 2/3 of people in Tennessee thought the governor's plan was a good one. We have supermajorities in the House and the Senate. We have a Republican governor. Why is it we can't get this stuff done? Why are we always fighting among ourselves, and what is the solution in your estimation? 615-737-9986. I really want to know what you think about it. Maybe you think that fighting among ourselves is worth the battle. I don't, quite frankly. I think that we hurt ourselves by letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. I'd like to know if you agree, or am I full of it? 615-737-9986. Let's see what we can figure out together, because I'm completely frustrated by this. Travis in Lebanon, you're on with Brian on the drive. Hello, Travis. What do you think is going on here? Why is it Republicans are always squabbling with themselves and we can't get anything accomplished?
Well, I think they're always squabbling between themselves because they are conservatives and Republicans in the party, and there's a difference between the two.
So expound upon that so I understand you a little better.
Well, you have conservatives that are about, that are on a different agenda than the Republicans are.
But looking across the aisle, you have progressive Democrats, you have yellow dog Democrats, you got blue dog Democrats, you have moderates, you have people who are very, very liberal and who are moderates, and yet they're able to get things accomplished. They can vote in lockstep. They can get things accomplished when we can't.
And they can pull people from our side when we can't pull people from theirs. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I mean, that they're saying that the speaker may survive because Democrats are going to swoop in and support him. It's maddening to me that we are having to go through. We look disorganized, and we are disorganized. When there used to be an old saying that, I'm not a member of any organized party, said Will Rogers, I'm a Democrat. But I think that was more accurately today could be said of Republicans. I'm not a member of any organized political party. I'm a Republican, because we are certainly not organized. All right, Steve in Lebanon, you're on next. What do you say, Steve? What's your thought about all this?
Hey, Brian, good to talk with you again. I think there's far too many people in both sides of the aisle that are more concerned with staying in office rather than getting the job done.
So, in other words, you think that they worry about that more than actually accomplishing things. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's it. Are we so rattled that if 19% of the people in this state oppose something, that we care more about their position than we do, doing the right thing for kids in the state of Tennessee? That's a hard thing for me to swallow. I have a hard time understanding why the governor, the speaker, and the lieutenant governor couldn't get in a room and work out these issues, and then go down there and crack the whip and make it happen.
Yeah, they're too busy being politicians. They're not being statesmen.
Well, that's right. You're right. Maybe that's it. All right. Have phone lines open, 615-737-9986. David in Smyrna, you're up next on the drive. What do you think, David?
Well, I don't pretend to know what the problem is here in Tennessee, but I think nationally you're always going to have this problem with the right versus the left. The left participates in groupthink, where
Oh, David, I'm afraid we lost your connection, and I'm sorry about that because I loved where you were going with that. Thank you. We'll try to catch up with you next time. Are you there, David?
All right. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, try again, David. We got you now.
Okay. Democrats participate in groupthink, and conservatives, Republicans, are more independent thinkers. And that's why I always think that you're always going to see lefties going lockstep with each other versus Republicans. And obviously in this instance that's to our detriment. But I like what you said. You can't let perfect be the enemy of the very good. And when it comes to getting most of what you want versus getting bupkis, get most of what you want and stop being self-aggrandizing schmucks and grandstanding for whatever reason, and just get the job done. I mean, it's that's who we are as conservatives, and we're all independent thinkers, but we generally agree on basic principles like following the Constitution and taking care of America first. And I can't for the life of me understand why nobody can at least coalesce around that.
I'm disgusted right now with the state of the Republican Party. We just passed big bills in Washington to support Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and I just spend $95 billion, and yet we can't spend even $1 billion to secure the border. We can't get that passed. What's wrong with us when we decide that that we're going to support everything that the Democrats want, but we can't get the one thing that we care deeply about? We just can't get there. Now, I understand in the House it's an uphill battle because you have the Democrats controlling the Senate and the president over at the White House. He might not even sign it. But I mean, we couldn't leverage the things they wanted for the one thing that we wanted. We could give them three things, and we can't get the one thing that we need. In Tennessee, it seems like it's like Lincoln said: "A house divided against itself cannot stand." Actually, Lincoln is attributed that quote, but it actually comes from the Bible. Jesus said it in Mark 3:25. If a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. And we have a divided house of Republicans. The Democrats are just laughing at us. All right, thank you for the call. Let's go to Ronnie in Murfreesboro. Ronnie, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, two things. It's first of all, when they've got a bill like that, why can't the committee from each one meet together and come up with a bill that they think both houses are going to pass?
They call that a conference meeting, a meeting of a conference committee to appoint certain people to go in there and work it out. Yeah, well, it happens sometimes, but it didn't happen this time.
Yeah. No, and the other thing is, like in Washington, we haven't had a leader in a long time, and that's the problem with us. Where the Democrats has got one, they go in lockstep. What we've got is weak leaders in both the Senate and the representatives. Like McConnell, I mean, if he was any kind of leader, he wouldn't let from Utah and all get by with some of the stuff they do, because they're not true Republicans; they're rhinos.
Yeah,
and they vote more with the Democrats than they do with us.
Well, I think you may be onto something. It may well be a lack of leadership, because I mean, leaders should be able to take all of the people you have that have an R behind their name and bring them together on a position. And to draw them in and explain to them the importance of getting it done. But, again, they do this on the Democrat side all the time. They say, okay, here's our position. Everybody get in line. We're going to get this done. But no, we squabble among ourselves. We are our own worst enemy many times, it seems to me. Rick in Nashville, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Nick? I'm sorry, it's
Brian,
Rick.
it's Rick, but I got two questions for you, and then I've got a resolution for you on the school thing. On the school thing, the governor got up there and said this was going to be for everybody, and there's a lot of people upset at the fact it's not going to be for everybody. There are way too many people that need their kids' help that can't come up with the other $7,000 or $8,000 to go with that to put them in a private school.
Yeah,
and I think do you understand that?
I do. I think you're right.
If you can't afford a school lunch, you're not going to come up with $7,000 to send your kid to another school. And the schools will do just like they did with a Hope Scholarship. It was no time once a Hope Scholarship did the $2,000 per semester that the college went up $2,000 a semester. So everybody wound up still paying the same thing. And that's going to happen with the private schools also, because they're going to say, well, we're overrun with people. We got to have more money. We're going to have to go up on tuition, and all that's going to happen.
Yeah, but go ahead. Well, what do you think the solution is?
Well, the solution is to do away with the public school period, take all the money, all you pay the teachers, everything, turn it into privatize them, give them the buildings to use, to make them keep the buildings up, make every school private, and let them compete with the money that's being paid in through the tax dollars for every kid to go to the school they want to go to. And when you have that competition and the teachers' unions don't run the show, you'll get back to being able to have good schools when they can tell people, no, we're not going to have this in the school, and no, we're going to have order, and if your kid don't want to do what he's supposed to do, we've got a school over here that he can go to, and he can stay at that school overnight till he's 18 years old, till he learns what he's supposed to learn.
All right. Well, that's a radical idea to me, make no doubt about it, because I think, the problem is there are some schools that do work, that they do get the job done. And many parents are very happy with their public schools. And that was what I thought was brilliant about this. Look, 69% of people who were surveyed said they thought this was a good idea. And many parents who were looking at this said, man, I am all over that. So, yeah, maybe it would be hard for some people to come up with the additional money to send their kid to a private school. I'll grant you that you may be right on that. But I do think it helped. And there were a lot of people said, well, if I had 7 from the state, I could come up with 7 of my own and get my kid into a better school, because people care about their kids. They would do whatever they could to get their kids in a better situation if the public school is failing. Well, the other thing I don't understand is why the people in public school gave a rat's patootie about it at all. Because there was no money being taken out of the public schools. This is very well organized by the other side, and they put up a bunch of noise, and I don't know what happened, but enough Republicans bought into the noise that we couldn't move forward on this thing. A complete failure by Republicans to get this across the board. I'm really disappointed in our state legislature. Let's go. Let me get to, well, no, we're out of time. We ran through all the time we had there. Listen, a really good conversation. Here's what I'm going to say. If we identify where the problem is and why we couldn't get this done, I think voters are going to have a very difficult decision to make. And that is, how can I continue to support a Republican who couldn't get this done? And I want people to explain to me how it is that we have all these people in charge who have a big R behind their name, and we couldn't make it work. It's embarrassing, and I'm with the governor. I'm very, very disappointed. 52 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. I was struggling with my weight. Last year I lost a lot of weight because I had some medical issues, and I was kind of happy, not with the medical issues, but the fact that I had lost the weight. And when I started to feel better, one problem emerged. So did my appetite. It came roaring back, and I started eating again, and I started to regain the weight that I lost, and I wanted to do something. I didn't want to do the yo-yo thing. I wanted to nip the thing in the bud. And though I've never taken on a weight loss client before, I am very impressed with the program that Jamie and Carly at Restoration Wellness Med Spa in Lebanon developed for me. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They took a look at my history, my lifestyle, and came up with an approach that's starting to show real results. And amazingly, I'm going through this, and I am not hungry. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness Med Spa. Pretty happy with the results. We both noticed greater mental clarity, increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness Med Spa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. Here's the number, 615-470-8124. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
6:01, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 66 degrees in Nashville. Traffic and a weather forecast, 5 minutes. The Trump hush money trial heard opening statements today. Daria Albinger fills us in.
Opening statements have ended and the prosecution witness, the first one, has been called in Donald Trump's hush money trial. ABC's John Santucci says former National Enquirer CEO David Pecker briefly took the stand just before court adjourned for the day.
He's going to come back to the stand tomorrow, but nevertheless, it just shows the speed to which Judge Merchan is moving these proceedings with the fact that openings are done. We're already on the first witness for prosecutors.
Pecker is a friend of the former president, but he's been called by the prosecution. Mr. Trump, meanwhile, speaking to reporters outside court today, says he plans to clear his name and fulfill his obligations.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning.
Court is in recess until tomorrow morning. It adjourned early today in part because one of the jurors had a dental emergency.
Russia downplaying that new package of U.S. aid for Ukraine that awaits Senate approval in Estela Katera.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov telling reporters a new U.S. package of military aid to Ukraine will not change the situation on the ground, insisting, quote, the Russian armed forces are improving their positions at the front. The money allocated and the weapons that will be supplied will not change this dynamic, end quote. Over the weekend, the House of Representatives approved more than $60 billion in new aid for Ukraine, which had been held up in Congress for months as Ukrainian forces had been running low on ammunition.
In entertainment news, Madonna sued again over starting her shows late, among other things. Jason Nathanson.
They're not giving Madonna love, fans giving more lawsuits over late shows. Concert goers in D.C. have filed a class action lawsuit saying Madonna's shows there in December started 2 hours late, it was uncomfortably hot in the arena, and she lip-synced her song, all making for an unpleasant experience, and they want compensation. This follows a similar suit by the same lawyers in New York. Her lawyers are trying to get the original suit thrown out.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hello, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair for one more hour before we hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. I want to say again thank you to Matt Murphy for sitting in here and handling the job so ably while I was gone for a few days. Took Savannah wife down to the beach, as I promised that I would do from time to time, and had just a very relaxing time. I come back ready, rested, and tanned, or pink. I don't really tan. I just get pink.
You'll be peeling soon.
Yeah, it won't be long. Anyway, I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Let's get into something that's going on today. Opening statements were heard in the trial of Donald Trump in the Alvin Bragg case. He's confronting 34 felony counts for allegedly falsifying business documents related to payments to porn star Stormy Daniels for her silence in regarding an alleged affair ahead of the 2016 election. Now, I don't think that there's any crime that has been committed here, but that's what Alvin Bragg is going to try to prove in a court of law. Let me just say, opening statements are not to be underestimated. A lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to them, but really, honestly, they should. According to Arthur Idella, who's a defense attorney in New York State, he talks about the importance of the opening statements because you're laying the groundwork, and first impressions are so important when you're talking to the jury. And he makes a very interesting point here.
Years ago, the New York Times did a study. 80% of jurors found that whatever they thought the verdict was going to be after the openings was their verdict, 80%. So I look at opening statements as a tremendous opportunity to really sway jurors over to your side. Look, there is paperwork that corroborates the people's evidence. And that's obviously hurtful for the president. But my understanding is it's not paperwork with Donald Trump's handwriting on it or his signature on it, except for a check. So the defense could merely be, hey, Michael Cohen did all of this. He never told his client. He just said, look, I need money for this, I need money for that. And, one of the witnesses who's going to testify at this trial testified for the feds, and he said that the money that was given to Michael Cohen was for Stormy Daniels and for legal fees. That's a reasonable doubt.
Well, however it works out, that's a really good analysis by Arthur Idella, who's not an attorney in this particular case, but here's somebody who is one of Trump's attorneys. His name is Will Scharf. He sort of lays out exactly how things are expected to go.
This is an indictment about business records fraud, purported business records fraud. And all the evidence is going to show that the business records in question, one, were not made by President Trump, and two, were not in any way, shape, or form fraudulent. Michael Cohen, as we've stated repeatedly in court pleadings, has been found liable for perjury and in front of a number of previous courts. This is a show trial. President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong, and we firmly believe that the evidence is going to bear that out in court in the coming weeks, and that any fair and impartial juror would see through the prosecution's smoke and mirrors strategy here to really get at the facts, which are completely and utterly exonerative of President Trump's conduct. Witnesses like Michael Cohen can go on TV, can record podcasts, can say anything they want. And meanwhile, we're subject to totally unconstitutional restrictions on what we're able to say. These are restrictions that violate core principles on prior restraint that are at the very heart of the First Amendment. This whole trial is proceeding in a highly irregular way. And I think that the fact that Michael Cohen can say what he wants to say and we can't really respond shows just how absurd this whole process has been.
How difficult do you think it will be for the Trump attorneys to discredit him based on his past? And how much can they say about Michael Cohen's?
I think Michael Cohen is going to have a full and vigorous cross-examination by our team that will get into many aspects of his history. And we believe that will ultimately be persuasive because the facts are totally on President Trump's side in this case.
That's Trump attorney Will Scharf on Fox News this afternoon talking about how he expects it to go. Listen, I don't think there's a case there. Of course, I don't know that it's a very fair venue, and I have real concerns about the jury, but it only takes one to hang up. I think what they'll be going for is not necessarily a win, but a hung jury. It's just, I'm telling you, I think people have come to figure out exactly what's going on here. That Democrats are throwing everything they can, hoping that something sticks. I have a feeling, though, it's going to backfire on them. I really do believe that it's going to backfire on them. That at the end of the day, if they get a conviction here, it will only serve to make him stronger. It's like I say all the time, Donald Trump is like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
I mean, the more you hit him, the stronger he becomes. Also,
this is the way.
This is the way.
I just like to throw that in there. Okay, so there's that. Now, Donald Trump, as he was going into court, by the way, he can't go on the campaign trail except on Wednesdays and on the weekend. They don't have court on Wednesday. I don't know why, but they don't. He can go out and campaign on Wednesday. He can go out and campaign on Saturday, but he's required to be in the courtroom every day, which it seems to me a bit unfair because that's not really necessary in a case like this. But the judge, who I think we know why, has insisted that he must be there. Keep him in the courtroom. He's not out on the campaign trail. And Trump, as he arrived at court today, said what he had said before, that this is a total witch hunt.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country.
All right, that was Trump earlier today. Many people have asked me this question, and I've been trying to find out the answer to it, and I think I do have at least some of the answers. What happens if Trump gets convicted ahead of the November election? A conviction in the New York case that he's currently involved in, where he faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, would not, according to thehill.com, bar him from the presidential race, but it could roil his bid and open up the possibility of this year's GOP nominee is a convicted felon. Now, would that change things for a lot? No, I think if you like Donald Trump, the fact that he's been convicted on these accounts in what you consider to be a sham trial, you're probably not going to be offended at all by the fact that he's been convicted. You'll think, well, they got it in for him. And I think that's a pretty fair argument to be made. But for some, and the question is, how would it resonate with independents in the middle who are sort of, inclined to vote for Trump? Would that change their mind? That's the real question. Legally, the former president, who has clinched the delegates he needs for the Republican nomination, would still be able to run for federal office even if the jury decides to convict him in this hush money case. Let me give you, this is pretty interesting. Let me get down to sort of the nut of this whole thing. One key complication of a conviction that could embarrass Trump in his home state is he might not be able to cast a 2024 ballot in Florida. In other words, he would not be allowed, if he was convicted as a felon, he would not be able to vote in the state of Florida, even for himself. So, again, that would be the downside, but that doesn't mean he can't run. Now, what if he's convicted? How likely is it he will go to jail? This is their assessment, again, from thehill.com. Prison time is a sentencing possibility if the jury decides to convict, though experts suggest it would be an unlikely sentence for the judge to go for in this case. If it happens, it still would not bar Trump from running in 2024, but would further hamper his efforts to get back into the White House. Largely, experts are predicting the hush money case wraps up before Election Day, and some say it's not out of the question that another one of Trump's criminal indictments moves forward toward a jury in November. Said George Mason University and adjunct scholar Ilya Soman, it's certainly true that being convicted or even being in prison doesn't prevent you from running for president or even from being elected. Assuming the office, however, would be difficult if the president were in prison. Again, I have to be honest with you, it is a possibility, but most of the legal scholars look at this and say it's not the kind of thing, most often, that somebody is sentenced to actual prison time in. However, you would be, under the eyes of the law, if convicted, a convicted felon. All right, so there is that. And how that would all play out, I don't know. But he can run, even if he's convicted. He can even be elected. The question is, what happens then? If he's in jail, makes it a little hard to, be out there taking the oath of office on January 20th. But I don't think it's going to come down to that. First of all, in this particular case, I would say I think he has a good chance of winning this case. I really do. I think, in fact, the charges, if you get it before an unbiased judge, would already be thrown out. So I think he long-term wins. But one way or the other, he can continue to vote. And I think it makes him stronger, not weaker, if he gets a conviction, because I think people have decided, and I certainly have decided, that a lot of this is just nonsense. Just, Democrats trying to do anything they can to, A, keep him off the campaign trail, and B, to try to mess him up, to bloody his nose ahead of the elections. Do not lose sight of this, because this is really probably everything that's going on in New York, entertaining, a lot of stuff to watch there, all kinds of things happening. But this is the one that I think you really should focus on this week. This will be where the smart people are paying attention. The Democrats' lawfare strategy, according to PJ Media, against Donald Trump may be thwarted this week as the Supreme Court is poised to hear arguments on Trump's case on presidential immunity on Thursday. The outcome could affect several of Trump's trials. The question before the justices on Thursday is whether Trump can be tried on criminal charges that he conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The court's answer, listen to this, the court's answer will determine not only whether Trump's trial in Washington, D.C., before U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, originally scheduled for March but now on hold, can go forward, but also whether the former president's trials in Florida and Georgia can proceed. The only that would not be affected by this would be Trump's non-disclosure agreement in New York City, the one we were talking about a moment ago. That would not be affected because it's a state case. So watch the Supreme Court. In his brief to the Supreme Court, Trump makes the argument that allowing the charges against him to go forward would pose a mortal threat to the president's independence. The president cannot function, the former president contends, and the presidency itself cannot retain its vital independence if the president faces criminal prosecution for official acts once he leaves office. I mean, it's generally not done. In fact, Trump cites a law review article by then Judge Brett Kavanaugh, who before becoming a judge worked in the George W. Bush White House, arguing that, quote, a president who is concerned about an ongoing criminal investigation is inevitably almost always going to do a worse job as president. Brett Kavanaugh wrote that. If the same is true, Trump continues, if that criminal investigation is waiting in the wings until he leaves office. Fascinating times ahead. Watch the trial in New York, but watch the Supreme Court on Thursday. Sometimes with the arguments, you get some idea of how the court is likely to rule, not always, but that will be very telling on Thursday. If he wins in the arguments before the Supreme Court, huge implications. Really helps him going down the path. 21 past the hour now. You know, there are no spinal creams or magic pills that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves to solve your back pain problems. You really have only two choices. One is to undergo the knife, surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and I'm glad that I did because it really solved my problems. They have a state-of-the-art facility. The latest high-tech equipment can offer the latest non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is so important, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering a half-off spinal decompression treatment and the KT machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for your knee. It really can help. And then here's the other thing. If you're a new patient, call and set up your appointment. You'll get an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment. I mean, those three things are pretty important. Your exam, here's what's the problem. Consultation, here's how we're going to fix it. and here's your first treatment. Let's get going. That can all happen in your first visit at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So listen, I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So why don't you call them today and set up that appointment, 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Mac Maury, just a few minutes with the news. It's 26 minutes now past the hour. Want to say again thanks to Matt Murphy for filling in for me in my absence. Chris, we went down to Panama City Beach. There's Panama City and there's Panama City Beach. They're two different entities down there.
Right.
And so we went to Panama City Beach and just had a wonderful time. Sort of just the water was so perfect. I mean, it's that water down there is so good, and everything. The sun came out and it was very warm. The pool was very inviting nearby, and just had a really great time relaxing. Because I promised, when we used to have a house, I used to have a house down there, and on 30A, and used to go down there all the time. But when we sold that, and that's really honestly how we came to be able to buy this lovely home we have here in Watertown. And so I had to promise Cabana Wife that if we sold the house in the beach, that I would still take her to the beach. So this was my promise to her. And I tried to be the Cabana boy instead of making her be the Cabana wife.
Yeah.
I made the runs, and I made sure that, her drink glass was always filled to the tippy top.
Uh-huh.
And it was just very relaxing. Honestly, didn't do a hell of a lot except just sort of relax and think about nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than being at the pool. You got a good, nice rum drink. That's the best. A rum drink and a fruity rum drink. Really, honestly, I drink girly drinks. I'll be the first to admit it.
It doesn't count when you're at the beach.
No, it doesn't matter. So I got me a fruit drink with some rum in it, and then I got my Bose earbuds in, and I got cranking good tunes. Oh, you can feel your blood pressure just come down. It's just been great. The Shriners, however, were in attendance down there at the beach. Big Shriner weekend. My dad was a Shriner, so I can say this: Shriners, they're the Masons that drink.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And they had little go-karts, little motorcycles. They put on a little show down there. That was fun.
Were they swirling around on the go-karts?
Oh, yeah, they were at one point. Yeah. And then the other thing that's so great is that going down and coming back, got to stop at Buc-ee's twice.
Well, you got to do that.
I'm telling you, I am a big fan of the Buc-ee's. Now, at first I didn't quite understand the Buc-ee's concept, but when I went a couple of times, I understand it. It is a destination all into itself.
Absolutely.
And, it's 100 miles south of the nearest one we on our trip was 100 miles south of Nashville, right on 65. Before you get to Birmingham, about 100 miles out, there's a Buc-ee's, right? And I'm telling you, that is a blow and going deal. They're making money hand over fist at that place.
Oh, yeah. All day, all night, baby.
Yeah. So two things. The pulled pork sandwich, so good. I mean, you just grab one, put a little barbecue sauce on it, get back in the car and hit the road, and you're going to have a great sandwich. That's the one thing. Second thing is best car wash I've ever encountered in my life.
Is it really? I've seen them in there. They're very long for those automatic type washes.
It is the most thorough cleaning your vehicle will ever have. And they put a little, I don't know if it's a laser or somehow, when the foam gets across your windshield and you can't see anything, they put a little dancing beaver comes across your windshield.
Of course they do.
Yes, and so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So I listen. If nothing else, we should just go down to Buc-ee's now and then. That's
a vacation all to itself.
Vacation at Buc-ee's. You could stay there for a week and just eat a bunch of good pulled pork sandwiches. It was a good time. But again, thanks to Matt, and thank you guys for carrying on without me. Coming up after the news here in just a moment, we'll do a recap of 2024. I got some numbers for you and some interesting stuff that you probably haven't thought about with regard to the elections. It's called coming up right now. Time for the news at 6:30. All right, what was it like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Think back. Was it smelly? Was it greasy? Were there old, dirty rags lying around? Was there a countertop that you wouldn't dare touch? Another thing that stinks is the repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest with you, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, I want you to consider Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. Never a high-pressure sales tactic. At Eurofix, they will get you a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. You need to call ahead because those are very popular. You'll never pay dealer prices. Eurofix now located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest facility in Mount Juliet across from the Dairy Queen. So I'll call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy, your FARB, Brian Wilson, sent you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7, the last little bit of this Monday show before we turn it over after the news to Mark Levin, who will carry on through the evening. Carry on, Mark Levin. All right, let's see. This just happened. The Tennessee House is now set to debate and potentially vote on a bill to allow armed teachers in public school. And as you know, we've been talking today how they failed to get across the goal line on the school choice plan. The governor has said that's not going to happen, but this bill was still out there. So here we go. From the Tennessean, the Tennessee House will soon vote on a controversial bill that will allow some teachers to go armed in classrooms without informing parents. As the 113th Tennessee General Assembly enters its final chaotic days, the bill could technically be heard for a vote on Tuesday or Wednesday. The bill has been held in a procedural holding pattern until bill sponsor Representative Ryan Williams of Cookeville motioned to add it to the next available calendar. Williams' move sparked vocal outrage from the House gallery, the people in the balcony, where opponents of the measure have sat for days to monitor action on the legislation. "You're going to kill kids," one woman yelled down. "You're going to be responsible for the death of children. Shame on you." That is such... Come on. What I would say to you is this. First of all, there are many very good safeguards put into this law. Number one, if you are a teacher and you get an enhanced concealed carry permit, or maybe you have one already, and you want to jump through all of the hoops, here are the hoops. Number one, you got to get permission from your principal. Your principal has to get permission from the superintendent. Number three, you have to check in and get the approval of the number one law enforcement officer in your particular area. Most often that would be a sheriff. So you got to get all three of those people to sign off. Check, check, check. 3 people can veto the idea for any one individual. But if you get through all those, then you still got to do 40 hours of training a year, 40 hours. You have to go through a psychological evaluation. You got to go through a background check. And then and only then could you be allowed, if you jump over all those hurdles, then you could be allowed to carry a concealed weapon in the classroom. The principal, the superintendent, the police chief would know, or the sheriff would know, but nobody else would know. Now, again, this would be perhaps most utilized in a situation in a very rural area where they've had a difficult time finding or keeping or hiring SROs. You know, there are about 500 schools in the state of Tennessee that don't have SROs. And so those are the ones that are mostly little rural school districts where you might only have, in the whole area, you might only have 3 deputies on patrol in the entire county. This is what we saw in Uvalde. I don't know if that's the perfect example, but imagine this: if there are 3 on-duty sheriff deputies in an entire county, and the call goes out, we've got an active shooter situation. How long is it going to take those deputies to get to the school? In the case of the Covenant School shooting, remember this: the shooting was pretty much the damage that had been done. 6 people were killed within 3 minutes. Police arrived 8 minutes after the call went out. Now, when they arrived on the scene, they did a great job, but it took a while for them to get there. In a situation like that, where there is a public shooter, a active shooter is the word I'm looking for, you have seconds to respond, and the police are minutes away. When seconds count, remember, the police are minutes away. So, to have a coach or somebody, maybe they had past law enforcement experience, maybe they were somebody who served in the military, but somebody who is capable, having them there could be the only line of defense, because the police are going to be a while getting there, and especially in these rural counties. Now, look, I think it's a reasonable thing. And probably, to be honest with you, this is the truth. Everybody's up in arms. Everybody's making noise. Placards are in the gallery. People are booing and hissing at the politicians below. But the truth of the matter is, this probably will only be used in a handful of cases in very rural counties where it really could be an asset. It probably, for the vast majority of people in Tennessee, this would never, ever, ever come up. So, again, remember, the principal, the superintendent, and the law enforcement agency in charge of that area all have to sign off on it. 40 hours of training, a psychological evaluation, and a background check. All of those things would be required before it would ever take place. A lot of, I think, reasonable things there. But most important, when you say children will die, I would make the argument that without this, and if there's an active shooter situation, especially in a rural area, yes, children will die because nobody could do anything to stop the shooter. In recent weeks, parents of school shooting survivors, students, and gun reform advocates have heavily lobbied against the bill, with one Covenant school mom delivering a letter to the House on Monday with more than 5,300 signatures asking lawmakers to kill the bill. Republicans have argued properly trained teachers and staff can increase school security in the event of a security event like a school shooter, particularly in rural areas where law enforcement may be thinly staffed, unable to respond to a threat quickly. So at Covenant School, they have private security. Now, that person was not on duty the day of the shooting. The school did not replace that person when the person took a vacation day. But they had one, and they certainly have them now. Again, I wonder, why is it that somebody from Covenant would have some objection to having the same kind of protection for children in rural areas that you have at your school? Look, this is the criticism of this bill is overblown. It is not necessarily something that will cause a problem, and chances are, vast majority of people, it will have no impact on their particular school because they already have an SRO. All right. So again, I don't think there's going to be but a handful of people willing to go through all of these hoops. We'll see. I hope it passes. And who knows? This particular session, it seems that the people who make the most noise are the ones who win, and logic goes out the window. I want to talk about real quick. With the moment that I have left, I plan to talk about the 2024 election and talk about some of the things that we have here. Number one, some numbers from Fox News Battleground poll, which came out the other day. A lot of a point was made that some of these battleground states are tied. I just want to point out to you that that's not true in some of the cases when you look at the five-way readout. In other words, they take the poll two ways. If it's Biden versus Trump, how would you vote? And you get a number. Okay, what if there are five people running, and one of them is RFK, West, and Stein, the whole 9 yards. It turns into a five-way race, which is probably more realistic. Here's what you find. In Georgia, Trump would win by 7. In Michigan, Trump would win by 2 if the poll is correct. In Pennsylvania, Trump would win by 2. It's only in Wisconsin where the five-way shows that Biden would win by 2. If Trump wins Michigan and Pennsylvania, it's over. So, again, these numbers, I want to be honest with you, are tightening. That is not unusual. It happens as you get closer and closer to Election Day. It's going to be a barn burner. But remember, I'm going to give you a bunch of general election numbers here. Honestly, let's just remember that we don't elect presidents through a general election by popular vote. We elect them by looking at the battleground states. Some battleground states we know are going to be red. We know some are going to be blue. There's a handful of them that could go either way, and they will make the difference. But anyway, regardless of that, here are general election numbers, which are all over the place. Emerson, Trump wins by 4. Daily costs, Trump wins by 1. Morning Consult has it as a dead even tie. NBC News says that Trump would win in a even matchup, Trump versus Biden. Trump would win by 2. But they report, and this is weird, in the five-way matchup, Biden wins by 2. For some reason, their poll shows that when RFK and the other candidates are added, that Biden would do better. I don't know that I believe that. I don't think that the Democrats believe that because they're doing everything they can to get to RFK not on the ballot. Then there's a couple of Marist numbers here that don't really comport with anything else I've seen. Marist always has been more positive for the Democrat chances than the Republican chances. I don't know. I'll just report it. Trump versus Biden. Biden wins by 2. In a five-way matchup, they say Biden wins by 5. Okay, so those numbers are all over the place. But again, focus really mostly on the battleground numbers. And there, although they've tightened, it looks like to me Trump is doing okay. Trump and the RNC will send 100,000 volunteers to watch polls and election integrity project. Man, do I love this. The Republican National Committee and former President Donald Trump unveiled a large election integrity project last week that will send more than 100,000 people to watch the polls in swing states this November. Having the right people to count the ballots is just as important as turning out voters on Election Day, Trump said in a press release. Republicans are now working together to protect the vote and ensure a big win on November. Attorneys and other volunteers will monitor early voting, Election Day voting, logic and accuracy machine testing, mail ballot processing, and post-election canvasses, recounts, and audits. Every ballot, every precinct, every processing center, every county, every battleground state, we will be there, RNC Chairwoman Laura Trump said in the release. I love that they're doing this. Now, in 2020, they took 50,000 poll watchers to watch the ballots, but this time they're going to double that number. A lot of people will be trained and in place. So, again, my hope is that with the right people watching, we'll have an honest outcome. We can hope. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, if I've learned anything over the last few years, is that we can expect change, and for those nearing retirement, change can feel scary. If you're worried about things like how inflation and interest rates will affect your retirement nest egg, why don't you use Beacon Capital Management's free retirement savings calculator? It's free, it's super fast, you'll get your answers in less than a minute, and you'll know exactly where you stand. And then I think you're going to want to visit or talk probably in greater detail with somebody at Beacon to get on the right path, because you're going to find probably that you're not making the right decisions, that you have not putting enough back. So why don't you call this number, 615-488-9303. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have peace of mind that you're on the right path? Beacon can provide you that reassurance, and it starts with a simple phone call, one you really shouldn't put off. Do it now, before it's too late. The experts at Beacon will take it from there. You have nothing to lose in all this process except for the worry that you have. Again, that number is 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon stand ready to take your stress away, and you can learn more at AskBeaconNow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.